host, Tyshawn Jackson, here with another episode of my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
You know, this one gonna be tricky for me, man, because I'm real big on healthy relationships.
Yeah.
So I think this is a sensitive topic for me.
This is a sensitive topic for a lot of people here.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, when we bring the attorneys on, people can get nervous because they can feel like, oh no, it's about to get a little doom and gloom in the building. But you got to know the game, people. And y'all saw it because we brought two beautiful divorce attorneys to come in here and lace our single ladies. We brought lead attorney in about 2 weeks ago, and the lady said, hey, look, we want something special for us. So ladies and gentlemen, we have done it. And let me show you who we doing it with. Because over here to my left, we are bringing a frequent flyer of the platform. Her third time here on Hardly Initiated's platform. It is Brittany, the breakup lawyer herself, Atlanta's favorite divorce attorney. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Thank you guys for bringing me back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
Good.
Good. It's beautiful in Atlanta today. It's a little cold, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
And this is your city here. So I got to make sure I bring you up on here.
Thank you.
So we could chop it up. And, I actually phoned a friend. I called in some help for this one because, Brittany, I know you can hold it down, but we're going to have a little bit of different perspective today because this is your first time seeing this young lady's face here. And this young lady here, for those of you who don't know, I've prepared something here for you guys because Sahara has represented clients in all aspects, just so you guys know, of relationships. All right, so we talking divorce, custody disputes, property division, maintenance and alimony, child support. So we can really take it there today. We in here rocking with Sahara Bell. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here.
And you're practicing in Atlanta as well as is it Chicago?
Correct.
Or just
Chicago area.
Illinois?
Yeah, I can practice anywhere in Illinois, but my main area is Chicago.
Chi-Town, stand up in the building. So y'all seen it. Look, we're gonna talk some game today. Ryan, let's go ahead and tell the people what we got coming up so we can go ahead and get to it.
So guys, remember I told y'all a few days ago, this is the last Sunday that we actually gonna be shooting live.
Yes.
Outside of that, we're sticking to Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And the thing is, the channel is growing so much, both online and offline. And me and Tyshawn really, really got to get things well managed and taken care of. And only because the key for us is to make sure that we are delivering exactly what you guys want. And we're going to be able to do that by going down to 2 shows and then working on all those good things that you guys like so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't really start the show without bigging up the episode sponsor. So can we please go ahead and show some love here to our sponsor here this episode?
I want to pull up these photos because the photos have been going crazy. So first off, people sending us photos. I think some of y'all forgot to actually send us a picture of the cars with the photo. So we're getting a lot of photos of y'all, but look at these. These are my beautiful ladies with these cars.
Yeah.
The thing about it, the cars work too, by the way, because I had the email. I got to pull up this email during the show, but we had a long email about the kind of impact that this one car deck has had on an entire family.
Wow.
So she emailed us. She told us about using the cars not only with her spouse, but also she gave her 2 sons, the cars to use.
I remember that.
Yeah, they trying to get their hand in, they in, and trying to get a little smooth. So the sons been using the cars, the husband and wife been using the cars, and every is learning. So that's
because I think she said that her son is actually an introvert.
Yeah,
and doesn't really talk much with women. Even I think she said he was a virgin.
Yeah,
at the age of 34, it was.
Was it?
Oh wow.
I'm almost positive that's what it said.
Let me find out.
We're gonna have to get that because
it
was a powerful email. Actually, let's read that for the people.
We're gonna keep it completely anonymous, but I'm gonna find it and then we gonna kind of talk about it a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. So go ahead. You can go ahead in the description. We can also include it in the chat. You can go ahead and cop your Hardly in Love dating deck, must have for the home, for the crib. And now let's actually talk to you ladies, okay? Because I want to start here because I can imagine when I'm thinking of an attorney, I'm thinking about somebody who sees just some of the ugliest sides of relationships over and over every single day. We did a whole episode on the state of relationships with Dr. Umar. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw it, but just in general, because I think you guys have a unique perspective. where do you feel we are? Just the overall state of relationships. Brittany, we're gonna start with you, but where do you feel we are right now in relationships?
I think I've echoed this a couple of times, that I think that relationships are in a different and unique place these days with the impact that social media and access has, or the idea that you have access to something better and what that has on, your psyche and dealing in a relationship. I feel like if you think you can get on Tinder or Bumble or what was the other? Like
Hinge.
Hinge. There
yeah.
you go. I was about to say Plenty of Fish. Is that a thing?
That's one too.
I don't know. if
That's
they still have
ratchet.
Plenty of Fish.
That's ratchet. Y'all
I
better
feel
not
like
be
that was
on that.
probably back in the day when it first started, right? But
Plenty
if
of Fish.
if you can get on the internet and have access to different men and women, or shoot, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I've had how many people slide in my DM on LinkedIn
Wow.
and just get a date or think that there's a 50-50 chance that this person may respond. I think it makes people look at their relationships with this glass half empty rather than glass half full perspective, right?
Mm.
You look at the flaws in your partner more than you do what makes them a good partner, because you think that the grass is going to be greener and that I can just go get another one. I know I've said that a million times, and that's not actually the case.
Wow. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think just along the lines of social media, it's a lot of comparison. So you have this compare thing. You see, celebrities and how they, cater with gifts and all of these things. And then you look at your spouse and you're like, well, wait a minute. Where's my things? Where's my Lambo? Look, when you're not in the same bracket. So, we have this false sense of reality because some of those things are not real either, right? Of what they're dealing with. And you don't know what they're dealing with when they go home. But I think it's a constant comparison of what we see on now, not even television, but like Brittany was saying, social media, Instagram, Facebook. And then it's just gotten easier. I think people think it's easier to, get the divorce and all of those things versus kind of pushing forward with the marriage. They're just like, well, I'm done and I'm over, until you kind of probably sit in our office and see the stages that you have to take to get there. But I think those are where we are right now.
Yeah.
And to your point, Sahara, I think this idea that like the city girl, city boy, you know what I mean? I don't even think we really talk about that as much in the end.
The hot girl
Hot
summer.
girl summer and red pill men, and you know what I mean? The effect that has on the way that men and women even interact with one another at the very beginning, right? It's not even the relationship stage yet. Just you got to cash at me in order to get my number, or
insane.
You got to have what do you bring to the table, which is what the men say. You know what I mean? And I think that conversation stops people before they even get started because we're in this mindset that social media creates and music and things like that kind of stops people very early on in the game and keeps people from being able to be realistic. Realistically, a man is not going to just drop $50,000 on you to get your number. That's just not realistic. But that's what the internet says.
Seems to be the expectation, especially online.
It is. Right. It is.
So with that in mind, ladies, do you think, and then we'll start with Brittany first, do you think that marriage should still be the ultimate goal for a relationship?
Every time I answer this question, it's the same. It depends on who you are, in my opinion. If you plan on, as a woman, being with a man for more than 2 to 3 years and having his children, you absolutely need to be trying to get married. It doesn't make sense to not be married. You have no
So wait,
protections.
if you are a woman who plans on having 2 or more, one or more kids,
any amount of kids,
any amount of children with a man, and you plan on at any point living with this man, saving money with this man, putting your name on a house, anything that has any level of permanency, you need to be married.
Got it.
Especially if you end up being a stay-at-home mother or stay-at-home partner. If you're a stay-at-home partner, not a stay-at-home wife, that's hustling backwards.
It is.
It's interesting.
Wait, say that again. If you a stay-at-home
partner, but not a stay-at-home wife, you're hustling backwards.
And partner's even confusing.
Even
just saying that.
Right. It's just you a live-in.
Right.
That's
exactly what it is.
A live-in girlfriend. What's the point in that? There's no I can't protect you. If you're a live-in girlfriend and you've been with this man for 10 years and you've got 3 kids and he's taking care of every single bill that you've had for the past 10 years and you get a divorce, y'all break up, I can't get you anything with child support.
But the child support. And
I
then
can't
that's
get you
not
anything
and
but
that's-
child
yeah.
support, and that's it.
Okay, so that's the end of the road. Just
That's it.
Okay, so
I
no
don't care that
alimony, no
you
spousal
don't get
support,
any
nothing.
alimony. You don't get any equity out of the house. You don't get any of the 401k. You don't get any of the life insurance. You don't get anything.
so this is a good deal for the man.
Potentially.
So
But,
situation.
but you know what? But you know what? I think it's false there too, because the woman has a lot more leverage. If you haven't done what you're supposed to do to establish your rights as a father
Correct.
and your partner, the woman has a lot of leverage. She can move around however she wants, and you're chasing her
Yeah.
to figure it out, to get your rights established, to say I'm the dad. Because if you go to court, you're like, yeah, I'm the dad. I didn't do any of those documents, right? And now I want to stop her from doing this. Well, you don't have a right yet,
No.
right? So she can get miles away from you,
Correct.
and now
Mm.
you're trying to fight.
Establish rights.
Yeah, right. You're
from
trying to.
a different
You're on
state.
the defense now.
Yeah.
So I mean, even for the men, I think it's important to have be wed as well, especially when it comes to your child and those inherent rights.
That makes sense. So it's risky
Wow.
on both ends if you kind of just living with your significant other,
Mhm.
babied up,
Mhm.
no documentation in place.
Mhm.
I think so.
Wow.
So wow, and, we kind of talked about that a bit because I mean that's what we refer to culturally as the situationships.
I know a few
Mhm.
guys too, just a few of my friends. They got that kind of situation. No kids yet.
Okay.
No kids yet, but
Mhm.
few of them they've been with their woman. I would say 6, 7. Some of them, a couple of them, 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be me.
Good for them.
Can be.
Good for you.
Now, hell
That's
nah,
not my
keep it
ministry.
real.
Yeah.
I gotta learn to start saying that. I just be saying what comes to my mind. Yeah. Good for you. Congratulations.
Wow.
So that really, if that was your homegirl,
Uh-huh.
you would talk her out of that situation very quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, girl. I would talk
We're wasting
poorly
years.
to her. I would use
Yeah, we're
words
wasting
that are
good
not
years.
nice because that's not smart. That's not smart.
Mm. It's about to get real tonight, y'all. I don't know if y'all feeling in the air right now because and let's go into it because we've had Brittany on the episode before and we talked about some of the biggest reasons that people end up in your offices in the first place,
Mhm.
For divorce.
Mhm.
And that's what this episode is about because we're gonna equip the ladies here, fellas. Y'all listen, after this episode, you might want to be careful with this young lady that we about to equip because you about to get laced this episode. I can imagine most people that end up in your office is unprepared.
Mhm.
They don't know what to expect.
Mhm.
They didn't plan on being here. And they're really relying on you to put them in the best position at this point. And when I'm thinking about some of the biggest reasons that they might end up in your office in the first place, let's just start there to ease into it. What are some of those top reasons that you typically see people end up in your office?
Oh, we're starting with me.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's start with you, Sarah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we have infidelity. You have financial reasons, meaning they've discovered some accounts or bills not paid, or they're in a terrible situation. You have the infidelity may have caused another child, so that's a lot of reasons. And then you just have distrust. So I have quite a few that say we just grown apart. We got married young. We're older now. We just gone. I grew
We're
up.
different
That
people.
person didn't, right? And you have that, which I mean, I think for me, just not even on a legal basis, can kind of get a little nerve wracking because it's like in any relationship you grow, right?
Exactly.
So
Right.
how do you have a guarantee in the beginning that you're not going to grow so far that it's not going to be appealing to me anymore, or I can't handle it? Which I always say is good to counteract that with check-ins. I think in any relationship, we need to check in. What do you desire now, right? That you may have not desired in the beginning, or what is now your goals, or what are now some of the things, because sometimes people have non-negotiables in the very beginning. And they change later on. I mean, we've even seen where some people have decided they didn't want to have a child. Now they marry someone new and have a child, or something like that. So I think those things have to be talked about very early on. And you can talk also for days, but I also, one good advice that I got in terms of relationship is dating through seasons. So when you're up, when you're down, when you're winning, when you're losing, when you're grieving, when you're not, because it lets me know how I need to be there for you in those situations, right? And if I'm equipped to handle you when you're in this space, and it also allows you to see how, you need to be there for me in certain situations and if we can cope. So I think now you may not go through all the seasons, but I think there's some character things that you will pick up and see during those times, either how you deal with conflict, or those things. So I think those are one of the main things. And I don't think people deal with those spaces enough time before they marry. And people ignore red flags a lot of times. They're sitting before me, and everything that they caused them to get divorced, they saw before they said, I do.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And marriage
kept
doesn't do
pushing anyway.
anything but amplify issues. It doesn't fix anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was some of the top reasons that
They get
Sahar
comfortable.
mentioned was that
The
it
same.
was about the same.
The same.
Infidelity that's pretty common.
Yeah, infidelity. Year by year, I think between infidelity and finances is normally the issue. It's not always something that someone is willing to cite in a pleading, though, or in a divorce pleading, right? So oftentimes you'll see people say irreconcilable differences is the reason that they're getting divorced, especially in like a fault-based state like Georgia, right? If you're in a state like California that's no fault, then it's irreconcilable differences anyway. It doesn't matter if they cheated or not. But someplace like here, if a person says adultery, it's because they are looking to prove that the adultery caused the separation and the divorce, and they're looking for some sort of compensation for what they've been going through, right? So whether that's an unequal division of the assets when it comes to the sale of a home, or more out of that person's savings or their 401k or something like that, those are usually the reasons that that's cited. But other times, if when you're dealing with somebody that just wants to walk away, they'll usually just say irreconcilable differences. We've grown apart, and I'm over it.
Yeah.
So I'll check this out. So this is accurate what you guys are saying, because I pulled this up maybe a few hours ago. It's the top reasons for divorce, and this was published by a Forbes article. But pretty much it says lack of commitment, infidelity or extramarital affairs, too much conflict, getting married too young, which I really don't understand that one, and financial problems. But my question is about what's the difference between infidelity and an extramarital affair, or is that like
They're the same.
the same thing? Okay.
Yeah, they're the same thing. In contrary, in Illinois, I have clients that want to cite everything that's fault-based, and we're a no fault-based state. They're like, no, I want to prove all these things and I'm like, well, it doesn't matter, because actually Illinois, why I like Georgia better, is misconduct is not a factor at all in division of property and maintenance or anything. So they don't even look at how you perform. They're like, you got married, you're married until you're not, and this is how we're dealing with it.
Right.
So the misconduct, right? So if I was to cheat on a spouse, okay, and she's trying to prove that I was is it infidel? Is that the word? Infidelity. But I'm like, well, she was also misconduct. She also had some misconduct because she didn't want to have sex with me. Is that fair? Like, is it fair? Because if I cheat because of something somebody else did, isn't it misconduct on both sides?
Yes and no, right? Legally, so let me tell you something about family court. It's extremely discretional. So there are some judges that I've seen actually where a husband has gotten up there and said, I cheated because my wife didn't love me. She didn't show me any affection. She would tell me I was a horrible person. She talked down to me. She called me ugly and this and that. And she didn't want me. And she didn't have sex with me for 6 years. And then I finally cheated. And I've seen a judge say, well, ma'am, I think I would have cheated too if you know what I mean?
That seems fair to me.
Yes. So it depends on what facts you put in front of a certain judge, right? Because there are some judges who are more empathetic and understand relationships, especially in Fulton County and like DeKalb County and Gwinnett County. Those judges are younger. We've got judges that are of our generation now. They sit on the bench. They understand relationships from a completely different aspect than judges who've been sitting on the bench for 20 years and they're old school and they're traditional. And they don't care what the situation was. You've been taking care of this woman for 50 years, sir, and you cheating on her. And I don't care if she didn't screw you for 6, 7, 10 years. You don't cheat on your wife, right? So it kind of just depends on who you're in front of and what the fact pattern looks like. That'll determine what arguments hold more weight than others.
So there's some subjectivity.
Absolutely.
In this
all
game.
the time.
Absolutely.
You got to know your audience.
Correct.
You
Every
have
time
to know your
that's the first
audience.
thing I look at is what
judge?
one, where am I filing? I always ask my clients, what county are you in? And what's the facts of this case? Because I know it's going to be 5 different judges I can choose from. If it's Fulton County, it's 4 different judges I can choose from. And out of those 4 judges, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this fact pattern will work in front of 1, 2, and 3. It won't work in front of number 4, right?
Wow.
So you kind of think about that.
And all the time, and you probably get it too, where people come to you in a consultation like, well, my friend said, and they did this in their case, and they had, and I'm like, you have different facts, and you might have a different judge, and I can give you the same facts in front of a different judge and get a different result.
Correct.
So it is absolute discretionary and all about the facts.
So see, cheating and infidelity, that's just a big part of, why people might end up in your room. I can imagine infidelity to some degree, probably pops up in, is it safe to say most of you guys? Cases like some infidelity may have been involved when you're at the point of divorce.
Yes.
So I can imagine you guys have seen just so many different angles of this. When it comes to infidelity, who is probably the person most likely for a husband to potentially cheat with? Is there any patterns that you might see? Here's why I say that. We might see online people talk about, oh no, the damn work husband. We gotta the work wife, the work husband. Don't do that.
Husband, the trainer,
the trainer,
the boss.
Now them trainers, they get a bad rep. I don't know.
So
them trainers.
So again, y'all are seeing these cases over and over in front of you. Have you found any patterns to, like, is there a person probably more likely to be involved with infidelity as it relates to, a man or woman?
No, I mean, a cheater is a cheater.
Yeah. Is that really what it is, though?
No way.
Yeah, a cheater is a cheater.
Somebody has to be cheating more. Is it men or women?
A man. Oh, well, you know what? Excuse me.
Is that true?
No, that's not wrong answer.
Men get caught. Much more.
Okay.
So if women are cheating, then they're not getting caught. But I say men as quickly as I do. One, because it's just been normalized for men to cheat. The state, you don't hear the statement, a man is a man. I mean, a woman is a woman, and that's just what they do. You know what I mean? Outside of them calling women crazy. But when it comes to cheating, it's been said that that's just a part of, as to women, that's a part of being with a man. A man is going to cheat.
And I found also with men that it's when the side chick is no longer happy is when they get in front of me, because the side chick will call the wife and explain all the details. And then the wife is devastated. I've had a couple of those where it's like, she keeps calling my phone. Well, she doesn't, I guess what you want to say, know her place. I don't know where her place is.
Wait, so I just want to confirm, the side woman is upset about her role in the relationship, and she calls the wife to, assuming she wants to basically be she wants the wife out, and she want to be out
the relationship.
And I'm saying, like, to a degree where men have gotten so messy. Well, I've had cases where men have been so messy where who he was cheating on was doing my client's hair for their anniversary, was doing the child's hair, came over to do makeup, and she realized, oh, wait a minute, and it was a wrap from there.
Raggedy.
It's just like, come on, y'all. Come on, men.
So is that the case? Do most people cheat with somebody this other person probably knows?
I won't say most.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
Just
I think
seen.
cases like that are much more bizarre for me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was crazy for me, yeah. But I mean, usually they are there. They know their place. They, maybe it's Monday and Thursday, whatever the case, your day is.
And I think that happens more with long-term cheating.
Yes.
When we talk about your infidelity versus an extramarital affair, right? When we mentioned that earlier.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes infidelity can be, hey, Ryan, me and you hooked up on a Tuesday, and that was just that. And maybe we hooked up again a month later, and that was just that. But when we're talking about, I'm your girlfriend and you're married, you know what I mean? And you and I traveled 3 times a month while you're on a work trip, and we have a condo on this side of the city and your house is on that side of the city. I think that's going to be the difference between, and more likely that type of stuff is going to happen, right?
Because you're building something, right?
And you're building a completely different relationship. And at some point, a man can't manage and ends up trying to do things that make it easier for him to make those relationships coexist.
So is that the typical type of cheating? It's somebody who has pretty much another whole relationship.
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
I think the longer the marriage, the more likely it is that you've had an extramarital affair.
Wow.
Insane.
Extramarital affair, that's the long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So how often are you seeing, side chicks pop up in these, divorce cases? Mistress.
It depends on.
I'm sorry.
Mistress. I call a woman. I think a mistress is someone that is literally a whole. It's just this man, his wife, and his mistress. Side chicks, I think, can come a dime and a dozen, right?
Okay. So mistresses are common?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely for your long-term relationships. If you've been married 10 years plus, that man is more likely to have a mistress than a number of side chicks.
And for,
And
and
these
for
women are aware. They're the
Absolutely.
side women, the
The
mistress.
side-
Yeah. How do you hide a 10-year marriage?
You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So see, here's the thing. Is there like, because I've heard the word, which I thought was a funny word, the manstress, right? So the manstress is the opposite, right? Where
Okay.
the woman is also having a long-term relationship. Is that uncommon? Like, because obviously women obviously are, they cheat as well.
Mhm.
But is it more often to be a one-off occurrence, or, are they likely to have someone that they're also building with on the side as well?
I would say most of my cases, and we talked about this last time I was here, most of my cases I'm not dealing with men who are divorcing their wives, because men don't divorce their wives. And if a man does divorce his wife, or he's talking about her infidelities, men most of the time forgive them, right? So I can't really tell you if women are really engaging in the behavior that often, simply because men aren't talking about it in the way that women do. Like, it's not many women that come to me and admit that they're cheating unless they have some sort of alimony claim. And I explain to them, if you were caught cheating, you understand that that completely dissolves your alimony claim, right? And they say yes. And then they'll open up to me about if they've ever had some infidelity in the marriage. But men aren't really talking about that to me. And that's my experience. They'll usually say, yeah, I mean, it happened, but I forgave her a long time ago. But they don't talk about it.
I will have some that come to me because they're trying to stop the alimony, like they're the breadwinner. And so they find out that she's cheated, and they're like, okay, how do I stop this? And contrary to Georgia and Illinois, it's a little harder, because the only way you cannot get alimony is if you prove cohabitation. And cohabitation is hard to prove because you can have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, but you have to prove that you guys are living together, sharing bills, all of those things. And the more money you spend on a private investigator, you could just pay it and be done, right? With the divorce. So it's like a cost analysis to your case as well that we have to examine, because it may not be worth, trying to chase and find out. But I've had some where, actually a recent case where he's found that she was actually cheating with someone like in a forest preserve. And they were like, in the text message was, she changed the name to like a girl's name, but like what she was saying was very explicit, like your D was great.
Wow.
Like it was like explicit. So yeah.
So
Right.
They got to be getting pipe and shelter.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. But I think she, I don't know what caused it in theirs. They were together for a while, but short-term marriage. And they're trying to use the long-term being together as a way for all this alimony.
Nah,
But
doesn't
it's not
matter.
gonna happen.
No.
But yeah, that's like one in and not so many cases that I get in terms of men. I don't honestly get a lot of men coming and saying that she cheated. It's really the women. I think if it was, they probably wouldn't admit it to me.
They don't. And I don't know if it's
an
an ego thing.
It is.
That's what I was
It
gonna
is.
say.
It's
Is
an
it
ego thing. Yeah.
And I mean, my question for y'all will be, do y'all care?
Do we care if
Yeah.
our woman cheats?
What?
Absolutely.
Come
I
on
mean,
now.
I don't.
With who? With whom?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Yeah,
No,
I would agree.
I
with
would
that.
say, no matter how you look at it, it can be a very emasculating, situation for a man. Because your wife at this point is communicating that you are not meeting her needs, so she's getting it elsewhere. And that's very difficult to have a conversation with anybody. Your homeboys is scary because now they're gonna be side-eyeing this chick, and she becomes literally the enemy to your family. I mean, other women, I don't know what the hell kind of women you got where you can open up, and at that point, you probably smashing her too.
You're right.
If you talking to her about stuff
Agreed.
like that.
But that sucks. Somebody you giving all your resources to, they cheat. Yeah, I mean, there's no situation where that would be acceptable to me.
Do you guys feel like you would be more forgiving and more inclined to try and figure out what happened? Because I think sometimes as men,
Nah.
no,
You don't care.
all of my men have stayed with their women.
Really?
All of them.
Really?
Like
I
by
get
the time we get to the table,
right.
they've told me, I found out she was cheating, and I tried to work it out.
See, this is, I'm not in that situation, obviously, but I just can't imagine a woman. Maybe the woman is still doing all of the other things and she's just cheating on the side. So if she's like cooking every day and she's still being an excellent mom and there's nothing missing, then maybe I'm not in that situation. Maybe, right? But I just can't imagine a woman cheating and then she's still treating me the exact same and taking care of the family the exact same way. I think something else would fall off.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. That's a tough situation right there.
It is a tough
I wonder
situation.
I don't know if we got the brother. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know if the brothers on here, but I would love to know whether or not the brothers are doing that, because that's very interesting that men are not leaving their
They don't
women
leave
for
it.
infidelity.
Absolutely not. Men don't leave their women really at all, but
Man, we're loyal.
Shout out to the family.
Shout out to the man. I like
black men
that.
don't
Yeah.
cheat. Hey man.
We're trying to keep it
That's
together,
what they
fam.
say. That's
And-
what they say.
When it comes to the cheating, is it usually like multiple situations where people got caught cheating, or is it like if it's one, it's one and done? Like I find out this one time, it's just one person, and I'm over it.
I think for some of my cases, it's repeat offenders, but I think some, like I've dealt with women who are just like, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Don't be sloppy, right? There's some women who are just complacent, like just don't be sloppy. Once it gets sloppy and it's coming to my door, especially if we have children, right, where now it's affecting them in certain areas, it's a deal breaker. But I think a lot of times people know who they're with.
Mhm.
Wow.
Right? They know who they married.
Mhm.
And you see patterns and you see things that you, again, may have ignored as a red flag or just said, I'm accepting this. Sometimes when you speak to women, infidelity is not the number one deal breaker for them. It's other things.
And especially
Wow.
those non-negotiables, as you get older, they change.
Yeah.
You know.
You know-
Okay, so these women, so that's just kind of crazy to me. So the women are, some of them are okay with the cheating as long as you kind of keep it under wraps.
I don't necessarily think they'll be okay with them. I think we all would probably want someone that's completely loyal. You're not doing what I think you may be doing or have a pattern that shows you are doing. But what I do think is that once you've entered into marriage, which is the foundation we're building, it's a business, it's everything, all these things, and we've started building to something, some women are just like, I'm not going to let that stop all this from being built and shattered, especially if I didn't do what I was supposed to do in the beginning, like see Brittany or myself and get a prenup, right? Or things like that. So like if you're building to something, like that may be something we could work on, or I'll turn a blind eye to that for other things that we're building. She's not getting all of this. And sometimes it really is that, like, I built you to this point. I'm not giving that away for someone else. It's a lot.
And a lot of women prepare themselves during that time. It's an extra strategy.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So, okay, you've cheated once. Noted. Let me go ahead and start preparing. Let me start moving money around. Let me
Mhm.
make sure my name is everywhere that it needs to be. Let me make sure I have all of the evidence that I need in case this
Yeah.
happens again. So that when I'm ready to pull the trigger, I come out financially sound and ready to start my life over on your dime
Mhm.
for your marital misconduct. And then we let it go.
So you know what? We're going to talk exit strategies, because I actually want to talk about that. But what I first want to talk about too is putting the ladies on game. Let's game up the breadwinners.
Mhm.
Okay, because it is a lot of ladies not us getting some bread. And I think that situation is a little bit different. In fact, we had one of our initiates send us an email that I'm gonna read, and I want y'all to give her some game real quick.
Okay.
Make sure you keep it anonymous.
I will keep it anonymous. All right. And guys, you all send over any questions you might have, and we'll do the same for you guys. So this reads: my ex is a coach. We got married in 2019, and at the time, we were both making similar salaries. As I have continued in my career, my salary has more than doubled, and his has not. The nature of his career is more transitory, requiring him to move in order to accept different opportunities in order to move up and make higher salaries. Our first child was born back in 2019, right before COVID. Because of that, and because of my higher salary, I became the breadwinner, and his career was put on the back burner. Our marriage suffered greatly because he was unhappy not being able to pursue his dreams and didn't want to work regular jobs to help me with the household finances and duties. He wanted me to be willing to move our family, give up a six-figure salary that was providing us for us so that he could pursue his dreams. I felt overwhelmed with that taking. I felt overwhelmed with taking on the brunt of parenthood and the brunt of the financial responsibilities, and also felt he was being selfish and putting his career first, which turned to a lack of sex in the marriage. We went to counseling for probably a year or two, and we saw some improvements. Fast forward to fall of 2022, we got pregnant with our second child. We seem to be on the same page, but we're not. Same issues surrounding his contributions financially and in the home continue to come up. And I felt disconnected and unable to have sex on top of being pregnant. We went approximately 6 months with no sex when I learned that he had been cheating. I filed for divorce following the infidelity. The challenge in our situation is that I think he felt emasculated by me making more money, being the breadwinner, and ultimately making the decisions for the household. And on the other hand, I felt that I didn't have a partner who was willing to put his family first, didn't fulfill his responsibilities, and still expected sex. So, as you can imagine, people start off having a career. They're on the same level. Years go down. Careers change. One person is making significantly more money than the other person. In this situation, it's her. Who's more at risk for things like alimony, all the costs associated with whatever the final ruling might be? Is she now more at risk, being that she now is the breadwinner of the household?
Absolutely. And it depends on one thing about being a stay-at-home and the agreement that you make with your partner is proving that it was an agreement, right? So if we're married and I tell Sahara she can stay at home with the kids and be a stay-at-home wife, and I'll be the breadwinner and do all of the things, right? And she can prove that, then I'm going to have to pay by the time we get there. But if I can prove that we got married and had children and we were both lawyers and very successful, and then one day she just said, I ain't working no more. And I'm like, girl, you need to help me. Go back to work. Go back and do this. I need help. We're struggling financially. And I can prove that her being a stay-at-home was not by agreement, but by force, and that I ended up having the brunt of the finances unwillingly, then that's a different argument by the time we get to court, right? So it just kind of depends on what you can prove. But will you be on the hook financially? More than likely. It just depends on how much and for how long.
Now, you did state that cheating can pretty much cancel your right to alimony.
Correct. Here in Georgia. So that case, if it's here in Georgia and she can prove that the husband was cheating on her and it is the actual cause for the divorce, which it sounds like it was, then he would be barred from receiving alimony.
Well, that's what's so tricky, because that's what she's saying is the cause of divorce.
And that's all that she needs.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
If she's the one filing and she's saying that as soon, like if he was cheating and she waited 6 months and she kept having sex with her husband and doing all these other things, then no, that's not the cause. But if I found out on Tuesday and I filed on Friday, then that is the actual cause of the divorce.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you can't go back. You can't go hold yourself out to be married. No long Instagram posts about how I love my husband, no sex. You know what I mean? Because you have to show that was the reason and there was no reconciliation after you found out about his infidelity.
Wow.
I think that's messed up.
Why?
Well, because this dude because it's a lot of unstated things in this email, I'm sure. But if
read between the lines for me. What's the unstated?
So this is what I'm reading between the lines.
It was very detailed.
It was missing a lot. It was missing a lot of pertinent details. What I'm reading is that, this guy was in a situation. His wife is coming up on the come up, right?
Yeah.
She says he has a transitory situation, which COVID kind of slowed down. So he gets his things together and he says, hey, you know what? For me to get myself back on my feet, we need to travel and we need to relocate. Now, his wife is giving him the business about relocating, which is going to put him in a better position to take care of his family. So now that his wife is discouraging him from doing what he thinks is best for the family, he's pretty much getting emasculated, in my opinion. And so he decides against it. And the whole time I'm sure that he decides against it, the wife is still applying pressure on him for not bringing home the bacon. You get what I'm saying? So now he's in this position where he's probably stuck. And he's probably like, well, am I being selfish? But even though I know that this is really the best for us, but my wife is telling me if we do this, I'm sacrificing all of these things. So I think that's kind of missing. And so he's being not treated the best at home. He's no longer the king of his castle. And now he's in a depressive state. And somebody probably comes along.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is happening? What is happening, Ryan? I'm so confused by this. If they started out both being breadwinners and earners and making the same amount, and he decided he wanted to have a career change, and she kept on in her trajectory of her career. If you went from being an accountant to a rapper, and that wasn't going to work out, and I can't
See,
support
see,
that
see,
because
see,
that's
see,
what
no,
I
see.
need to be able to do. I need to be able to keep on the track that makes sure our family is
And
taken
see,
care of.
And that's the problem. That's the problem right there. The problem is that this is all hypothetical. This is
Mhm.
all hypothetical.
Because I didn't read none of that.
No,
I
listen,
ain't
listen,
read none of the
listen.
facts in that.
The problem is
in
what
the
you saying.
story.
What?
You saying, and that's probably how she presented it too, is that this new stage of life, this new idea you got, this career change you got, is probably not going to work out. And because it's probably not going to work out, you want me to put my livelihood and my kids at risk because whatever you got going on is probably unlikely to be successful.
But here's the thing: if you're changing something and you have are carrying the weight of your wife and now
Correct.
2 children, whatever business proposition you need to be able to articulate that plan to make a believer out of her and whatever's happening. Because if not so, she will feel like, yes, I'm risking our responsibilities to chase a dream, and those
that
are
may not
things
work out.
that may not
Now,
work
listen,
out.
that's
And this is
true.
a guaranteed check we're getting over here.
Listen, first off, no, but anytime you work with somebody, it's not guaranteed because she could be fired tomorrow. So I think that's a facade. Okay,
Listen.
It is.
Okay.
It is. You work with
But
somebody.
right
I
now,
work
but
somebody.
but I'm saying
But
right
right now.
now, right?
Yes,
And
right now.
Go ahead.
So, because I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But we're all
But she-
entrepreneurs. we could all jump off the porch, right? I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams.
Follow your
But
dream.
I know right now I'm a lawyer. I got a lawyer bag. If I want to go be a professional dancer, because I used to be a ballerina up until I was 16.
Okay, ballerina.
Okay, thank you. You know,
Yeah.
I can't go to Juilliard with my baby in tow and decide I'm not going to be a lawyer anymore. We're going to live out of a backpack. I can't make that kind of decision because I have responsibility. So as
Well,
a
see,
man,
and see, that's the thing.
you
See,
know you have responsibilities.
But just because he wants to change doesn't mean that he wasn't going to take care of his responsibility in the interim.
he
And
was
see,
sitting at home not working.
Yeah, it sounded
What?
like that was the facts.
What?
Listen,
The
he-
fact
he-
that-
home.
We didn't get
Wait,
that.
go
We
back.
didn't get
I
that.
Go
didn't
back
get
to the
that. I
go
didn't-
read.
I didn't
Go
pick up
back
no
to the minutes.
Don't emasculate my brother.
Hold on,
again.
go-
Because now
Because-
Can the
y'all
court
trying to
reporter,
emasculate.
the court reporter,
That's why
can you
I
read
No,
back the
My
record,
ex is a
please?
coach. We got married in 2019, and at the time, we were both making similar salaries. As I continue my career, my salary more than doubled, and his has not. So it didn't say he was.
He's a coach.
Yeah, the
Okay.
nature of his career is more transitory, requiring him to move in order to accept different opportunities.
See,
He's
a
he
coach.
moved to accept opportunity.
Understood.
He's a coach.
So he was probably put in this situation, which is very tough for a man.
Mhm.
Now I know what I would have did.
What would you do? I want to know.
Well,
What-
first,
none
let
of-
me tell you what the situation he was in. The situation he was in, do what I really know is best for my family,
Mhm.
for me to keep all the psychological benefits of a healthy relationship by making more money, or do I sacrifice my family for it? So it's like, look, dreams versus my family. That's kind of where he was at. And that's what it sounds like. Do I choose my family and what my wife is saying, or do I really go for what I know? And so when you're in that type of difficult situation, that can be very distressing for a man.
Which
Now-
I understand, but not distressing enough to cheat. I
Yeah.
don't believe that
Yeah.
because you can't make, if you are, and he's not even, I'm thinking that he was unemployed. The man ain't even unemployed. He's just a coach with a salary, and maybe he's coaching a local college here. And if he went and moved somewhere else, he could coach a D1
A D1
college or
D2
something.
school, right?
You know, I don't know nothing about sports.
That maybe,
Yeah.
but
Me too.
maybe it increase. Maybe this next opportunity could increase his
True.
income.
And you know, I understand that. And I would hope that most people have marriages to where we can try and figure out how we make that work. Honey, if you need to move to Florida to
Mhm.
coach a D2 school, I don't even know if they have one down there, but if that's where you need to go, then how can we work it out such
Yeah.
that you can do that? I can still take care of the kids. You can fly back home on the weekends. Da 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 da
Yeah.
da da da. Now, all of that aside, that's not an excuse for him to run into somebody else's panties.
Facts. Because that means he got a lot of
'Cause-
time on
'cause
his
So if
this
hands.
you unhappy,
segue
so if
went
you
into-
unhappy, so how long should as a person should I deal with being unhappy in a marriage?
Then you get a divorce, but you don't run into somebody
see-
else's panties.
But see, that's the thing. If now I have to, for me to be happy, I literally have the potential to sacrifice my family to the courts. That's the situation.
you were
he's
gonna
in.
you're sacrificing your family in somebody else's panties.
That's true too.
What are we
Yeah.
talking about?
That's true.
But he didn't think he would get caught.
See, the thing
That's
about it
because
is
Then
he
that's the
wasn't
problem.
thinking. Period.
Yeah.
That's
Nah.
the problem. He wasn't thinking.
that I mean, I ain't gonna lie, that's a hard situation for a man because now your wife is doing a better job of providing than you are.
And she doesn't
And so-
trust your decision making.
And the thing
apparently.
about no, here's the reality. He doesn't trust his
Correct.
Mm.
because
That's a good point.
honestly, if I know what my situation is, I know my relationship with any woman I've ever had in my life, and they know how I move, they know I do what I say I'm gonna do. So even if it's not all the way there, this what we rocking with. I get how this looks clear, baby, but we gonna have to trust me, the risk. But listen, this what I need. I need this over here. Even for my personal fulfillment, it's so many different benefits outside of just financial gain,
Right.
that would have helped him just as a man if he would have just went with his gut. But you
The
can't
thing-
you
but this
can't
thing,
make that
how
decision.
can a
in
man
power.
go? Listen, how can he go with his gut if he has a woman at home that's saying we're not doing that? He can't force the woman to move with him.
Well, no, he
No,
can't. He
do
can't.
that.
But I'm just assuming that. I mean, he's just a
They
whack
don't
at painting the
have-
vision.
Now that is true because it probably is a lot of underlying stuff to this. He probably has lost trust over.
Correct. And that's what I was
Kobe
going to
Bryant.
say. That sounds
Yeah.
like she doesn't trust him.
She don't
And like
trust
you
that
said,
man.
he
Exactly.
don't trust himself.
Right.
Because
Vision
if
wise.
I was with a man that I trusted and he told me, I know that this opportunity will pan out for us, so let's figure out how to make it work in the interim, I would be more than willing to figure it out if I trust my husband to not lead me into destruction.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So
But-
in that situation, that woman essentially, because we talking cheating here,
Mhm.
right? And especially for the ladies, if something like that happens, and you want to get out the marriage, essentially filing immediately after that infidelity or that event takes place is what you should do.
Absolutely.
In Georgia,
Right.
Okay.
because I
And
was,
any fault-based states.
yeah,
Got it.
Right.
because in Illinois, what I would probably advise her to do, depending on the length of marriage, if it wasn't a long-term marriage, to file immediately, because the time limit on if she would potentially have to pay maintenance or alimony dictates from the date of marriage to the date of filing. But if she could move the situation to allow him to get to a place where he can get back on his feet or get equivalent, then I would say then file then. But it's a little bit unsure. I don't have sureties there, because like, even if she was to move, let's say he got his position right and her income decreased. In Illinois, they look at, kind of where you were. They look at past, present, and future earning capacity. So they can look back and see, oh, you were making it. So you're naturally at this level. So they may even be at a position, if you voluntarily underemploy yourself, impute that income onto you as if you were still making it, which means it doesn't help her in that situation because she still would be there. And then also you're dealing with, if he's the stay-at-home dad in a sense, or the one primarily at home, there may be some risk in who even gets the children that can balance out that financial burden of child support against the alimony and maybe even cancel that out. But if that's the status quo where dad is spending most of the time with them, they want to maintain that until if and when you have a agreement or the court decides differently.
But it also sounds like in that case, at least here, if it was in Atlanta, he wouldn't be a good candidate for alimony anyway, because he is working, right? He has an earning capacity. This isn't a stay-at-home dad. This is a man that's a coach. While he might be earning less than her, if it's not a huge income disparity, he may not be eligible for alimony anyway, because alimony is very specific in
Well, she said more than double.
her income more than double
his.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
And sounds like he sacrificed potential opportunity to support her in her career.
And that would harm her there in terms
It
of an
does.
alimony claim, but he completely screwed himself by cheating. Can't keep your emotional impulsivities to yourself. That's what happens.
Wow. That's kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
And he
It
he
is.
had integrity issues anyway. That's why she didn't trust him to go nowhere.
Now,
Okay.
this is the thing. I do agree that it's some
Hello?
underlying issues in that. Like, so this dude.
The chat
clearly-
going crazy, by the way. We might need to drop a poll on this shit. We might need to drop a poll on this shit, because they are pissed at Ryan right now.
Well, this is
Because
the
he's
thing.
talking crazy,
Yeah.
ladies.
No,
Yeah.
it's a couple-
It's
it's a
like,
couple
what?
people that agree though.
Because
It's a couple people that agree.
I get what y'all are saying. I do agree. If a woman does not trust her man, then I'm not going to force her to make any kind of decisions.
Right.
But I do think that's saying a lot, because it's possible that this woman is just disagreeable. That could be possible. That could be possible that he has made some good decisions, and she thinks because she makes double his income that she knows what's best for the family.
Now,
That
why
could
are
be
you
possible.
adding facts in that ain't in the fact pattern?
That it's not in there. And it also, okay,
Okay,
since we're
okay.
adding, let's add this, because most of the time women will believe what they hear and see. So if you tell me something, if you tell me a plan and I see action taken towards that and hustle taken towards that, okay, you may make a believer out of me. But if you're consistently talking and there's no movements, right? You didn't say, here, wife, here's the offer. If we move here right now, this is what I'm guaranteed to get. If you're just talking dreams to me, and when we get there, when I get settled in, then I'm gonna go do, so nothing's guaranteed. So you want me to move with my 2 kids, and where we're going is nothing right now is guaranteed offer on the table. That's where I'm gonna be like, okay, what?
Women need security. Y'all
Yeah,
know that.
absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So you know what? I just want to get a general sense of the temperature in the room. We ain't got to drop a whole poll. But listen, if you believe Ryan is right, just put a "he is right" in the chat.
Listen, I'm
And
not
if you
trying
think
to
he
be
is
right.
wrong, put a "he is wrong." I just want to know. I just want to know the thoughts of the people.
I just want to be, because like I said, it's a lot to read into the situation.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we covering what could potentially be happening on both sides. That's it.
I understand that, and I definitely agree with you to an extent up until we get to that situation drove him to cheat. He was a cheater already.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, honey. He already had integrity issues.
Is it no good reason to cheat?
No.
Because there's options
No.
before then.
A whole bunch of options.
Yeah.
Like
Especially
like
in a
what
marriage.
besides divorce.
Like, I mean, there's counseling right before
Okay.
then. There's things that we
Which they did.
you can exhaust all options, and then if you have exhausted all options and you feel like there's nowhere else to go, then get your
Talk about having a
divorce,
divorce.
right? And then go move about your business.
And there's
But
so
you-
many
it's called
relationships
self-discipline
that are
You know, a little
open. I keep
self-control.
leaning back.
That's the
I'm sorry.
thing. So now, you making it seem like it's just so easy. Because if I'm with this woman and I got my family and this is all a part of my lifestyle and routine,
Mhm.
what I'm saying is, in maybe some situations, cheating may be a lot easier
Then filing for divorce.
than filing for divorce. Is all I'm saying.
So cause
Until the divorce is filed.
yeah.
And then you got a problem on your hands.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Cheating is never easier than filing for divorce.
Mm.
Because the marital misconduct is going to outweigh any 10, 15, 20, however
Mhm.
long
Gotcha.
minutes of pleasure that you had with that woman.
So at the end of the day, he better just go on
you
for the
better
divorce.
figure it out.
Right. And
Wow.
and if you're saying risking your family for the divorce, well, why didn't you think about family before you decided to go holler or set your date with Madam?
That's a good point. That's a
So
good
like
point.
those are things that you have to think about beforehand.
And I think we all know cheating is a character flaw. How you do anything is how you do everything, which is a very common saying. So if you have integrity issues in your relationship, you've got integrity issues in your work, you've got integrity issues in your friendships, you got integrity issues with your mama. If you're willing to lie and scheme and be deceptive here, you're probably willing to do that in other areas of your life as well.
Brittany, you don't cheat.
No, I don't.
Cheating is a character flaw. Let me think about that one.
It
I
is.
couldn't find a button fast enough. I wanted to press over here to catch that.
I
Goddamn.
know.
But
Wait,
you know what?
Did you hit the
But you
wrong
know
answer
what?
for that? Wait a minute.
I don't cheat because I don't lie. Hey,
Hold
so
on.
everybody
I
knows.
don't lie. I ain't.
Now,
You better-
assuming
Brittany,
What?
hold
And
on.
even ask all the men if they know. If they know the breakup lawyer. Say if the breakup lawyer ever lied to you, they're gonna say, "No, she ain't lying."
Okay. No, listen. I
they
ain't
going
mad at
crazy
that.
at me in the chat.
I know they are. I know they are. I know this is a sensitive topic.
Well,
We're talking
look,
about cheating
the
because
man
every
can't-
woman in the chat probably done been cheated on.
Well, yes.
That's the situation.
Yes.
So you becoming a man that done cheated on there.
That's
That's who you are right now.
You
You are
digging your
him.
grave. Yeah.
Well, because and the thing is, I really do think if the shoe was on the opposite end, the women would be saying things different. If a man have been, abusing you in some way, emotionally, financially, he's not giving you the attention that you deserve, and he's putting you in these precarious situations where you just feel unworthy, and you have a lack of love going on, and those women cheat. I'm pretty sure those women who cheat gonna be like, yo, I wouldn't have cheated if you wouldn't have did X, Y, Z.
And see, that was
Mhm.
my point earlier when we were talking about men.
I actually agree with that.
Not. I do too. But when we were talking about men not leaving their women for cheating, I feel like it's because the narratives are very different. Men, I think, internalize and think to themselves, what did I do wrong? Because most women are not believed to be cheaters, right? So if my woman is cheating, was I not giving her enough attention? Was I not telling her she was pretty enough? Was I not having sex with her often? Was I not catering to her needs emotionally, physically? What was I not doing? Whereas women who are supposed to be nurturers and caterers, right? We can do everything and a man still cheat. So I think that also goes into the point of men being more prone to staying with their women and trying to figure out why it happened and why they cheated, whereas women who feel like they break their backs for a man and get cheated on are more willing to leave.
So hold on. Let's do this right here
Wow.
because it's getting close for the initiation hotline. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to get your take on this, family. Is cheating a deal breaker? All right.
And is it a character flaw?
So come up on here and
Yes,
let us
Ryan.
know
Yeah.
if cheating is a deal breaker. We're going to put the link here in the chat. I'm going to let you guys come up and you guys are going to be able to join this conversation here with Brittany, the breakup lawyer, and Sahara Bell here on the Hardly Initiated platform. So we have just went ahead and officially dropped the link. Let's make sure
I
it's
dropped
the
it.
right link.
And I hope I dropped the right link. I'm gonna pin it to the chat, and I hope the fellas heard that, because fellas, if you getting emotionally emasculated and abused by your woman,
Wait a
Ryan,
minute.
please.
you looking for a
Oh my
relief,
gosh.
you can't cheat. Just file for the divorce.
The
That's what they say.
drama,
That's right.
child.
Cheating is never an option.
You know, it's interesting because we actually had that conversation with lead attorney when he came up here, and he made an interesting perspective
Mhm.
because he said, and I wish I could really just remember all 5 of the reasons he said a man is able to cheat. But one of the most important, and by the way, he's a former divorce attorney, recently retired. He stated that a man having a child has a lot to do. It was a couple other things, but a man in particular, the child, has a lot to do with him it being okay for him to cheat, because what he stated was that once you file for divorce, obviously child custody comes into play.
Mhm.
And now a big part of the conversation comes into play of this man might literally not be able to see his child, or it might have a huge effect with the amount
Mhm.
he's going to be able to see his child if we just go ahead and file for divorce. Obviously he gets out of that situation, whatever the case is, but that child custody battle is totally separate. And the likelihood that he might not be able to see his child on a regular basis, maybe even a weekly basis,
Mhm.
is extremely high.
So that
So-
contributes to him cheating?
So what he was saying is
Yeah.
that under those circumstances, which I'm not doing a good job saying the circumstance, but I know the child was one of the a major piece of the circumstances that a man should have the right to cheat. That's actually the what he came on.
I'm not
I'm
connecting to that. I'm
confused. I don't
confused. He
know.
lost me.
I don't know about that.
He said so he said
What?
the man what? The man
Right.
should cheat because
Confusion.
he has a child, and if he files, there's custody battles, and so that's why he should cheat.
Is he saying that he would
This is
cheat
my
before
fault.
he
See,
did a
no,
divorce?
See, no, that's how they act. Amnesia. And they,
What?
Absolutely
They're
not.
confused.
I can't follow the
Break it
logic
down
because
for
there
me.
is
Fight for men's
none.
rights.
There
I
is
understand.
no logic there. What are you saying?
No
I would rather cheat and fulfill my urges than file for divorce, because I know if I file for divorce, then I'm gonna have an issue that I won't have by just cheating, but you end up having the
still have
same
the
issue
issue,
anyway, because
yeah.
when she finds out, you're gonna what? It's not logical.
Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, play the clip. Maybe I don't know. You know.
Right.
Well, look, I'm with y'all though. With the no excuse for cheating, I'm with y'all. If everybody adopted that mindset in every
Mhm.
situation, I just really don't think that. I think the shoe on the other foot. I think all of a sudden people got different philosophies
Mhm.
for it.
I mean, I don't condone cheating by men or women.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that
Okay.
whatever comes from that, you earned.
Cool.
Hmm?
I'm down with
Okay,
that.
well, listen, initiates. Obviously, we want to know your thoughts. That have went ahead and we dropped the actual link in the description, so you can click that. You go backstage. You do not come right up on stage. Okay, you go backstage. Be patient. We will let you guys come up one at a time. Okay, so let's actually continue this conversation, ladies, because something very interesting. Brittany, we talked about this before the show.
No, Lord.
I know. We're gonna kind of go there
Okay.
right now.
Oh God. Okay.
Because another very interesting aspect of cheating that can happen
Mhm.
is when women and listen, we in the A, so you're seeing some crazy things. Women are saying that men are cheating with other men.
Mm.
You see this come across your desk. The Down Low brothers.
Ex Sahara.
Breakup lawyer got this.
The breakup lawyer got
She
this
got
one.
this.
So is this a common occurrence or something that you actually might see often in your work?
Yes.
Dum, dum.
Damn.
Yes, it is.
Wow. So now
She put a
I just
period.
really want to know.
Period.
I just really want to know how this works.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. A woman is with her husband
Mhm.
and he chooses to be with another man.
Mm.
Now,
Mhm.
is this an obvious situation where we look at the brother and we like, come on now, sis.
You should have known.
Should have just went and got you.
Another one.
But instead, you stayed in that situation. It was pretty obvious. Are some of these situations, very
I wish you would stop
Down low?
looking at
Oh, sorry.
me.
Okay, I'm looking straight
You
ahead.
need to answer. Yes, some of them are obvious. It's
Okay.
There's somebody I know, not very well, but there's somebody I know that's about to get married right now, and I'm like, I know in a few years
Wait a minute.
Right.
Wow.
she's gonna be calling me.
Were
But
are you invited to the wedding?
no, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. Big no, ma'am.
Why do you think that happens though? How does that happen?
How does a woman marry a guy who likes guys?
Yeah.
Because that's her girlfriend.
Oh, like a really best friend type
Yeah.
of deal they share.
Oh.
That's like her. I mean, they do all the things together.
They
right?
do all the things. They're
Including
supportive
sex.
in the ways they need to be supportive. And I think
Mhm.
that unfortunately, and I'm just gonna be very candid in what I'm gonna say, Black women want to be married, and unfortunately, many of us have fear that we may never have the opportunity. So
Mm.
when you have a guy that comes around that does the things and says the things and offers you the commitment that you're looking for, you're willing to be more flexible and overlook certain things or red flags or
Yeah.
things that may make you go, but I want to be married. And he's offering me that. And he's offering me financial security. And he's offering me emotional security. And he's offering me, well, as much emotional security as you can
Right.
get out of that,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
But I want to be married.
And what do you think is the benefit for the man who really likes men
beard.
to be with? Oh,
To
just
be
a cover-up?
socially accepted.
Yeah, she's the beard.
Is that a problem now? I mean,
Social
is-
acceptance for
homosexual men?
Depending on where you are,
Absolutely.
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 Yeah.
Really?
Especially if you are not a what's the word? I don't know the politically correct term, but if you're not outwardly homosexual or appear homosexual, right? Or if
Okay.
you work in a certain industry and I mean, let's
Mm.
be real in the world that we live in.
It's still being
As
masculine.
out and open as we can be, it is still a man's world.
is.
And in certain fields, especially if we're talking about climbing the
corporate ladder.
that is no.
You know what? So I think that's because I'm inundated by. I'm not in the corporate world,
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
I'm inundated by
Think
what's
about
happening on
politics,
social media,
right?
right? So
Yeah,
Lawyers,
exactly.
mayors. If you want to hold in political office, you can't be gay.
Mhm.
You have to. You can't be single. Hello.
Mm.
Okay,
Wow.
like
That part.
they look at it. If you're running for mayor, shout out to Andre. If you're running for mayor and you're not married, sometimes they look at you odd. What's wrong? That it looks like you don't have
Yeah.
the same levels of security as your counterpart might. If you don't have a wife and children, something is wrong
Mhm.
there. So
Wow.
So both people are really in desperate situations, desperate mindsets
correct.
to kind of get this thing popping off.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
was checking out. I wish I had to pull it up initially, but it was basically an article. It was stating some statistics, and it was stating that a man would say it was 76% of men stated that they would rather their spouse cheat with a woman than cheat with a man.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
because men don't think that women having sex with women is really cheating. They can't be penetrated. It's not a real thing. And most men sexualize the lesbian relationships
Absolutely,
anyway.
yeah.
Now it was the exact opposite.
Right.
It was the exact opposite, where it was 22% of women
Mhm.
would be okay with their man sleeping with another man.
Well, that makes sense, right?
makes sense,
Because
too.
most women subscribe to patriarchal ideologies, right? And a man being with a man means that your man is gay. So I can't compete with a man. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I can't offer you the same thing sexually that a woman can. So I would rather, if I had to choose to be cheated on, I'd rather be cheated on with someone I could at least compete with, right? Rather than a man, I can't do the things that he does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are these DL cases treated any differently?
No.
Like, they're treated like a traditional infidelity
Mhm.
case.
Mm-hmm. And most of the time, people are ready to get those cases over with
Wow.
because you don't want to have your dirty laundry,
Out.
especially that dirty laundry, out.
So might that one be like, yo, we gonna NDA this one? Okay, non-disclosure. I don't want nobody to know about this.
Found the initials.
Do you find that that's what's going down, or is this is all public record?
Sometimes, not NDA necessarily, but like she just said, filing under initials, and I mean, it would make the offending party more likely to settle out of court. Wow. Because when we talk about, I'm the kind of lawyer where
You got
if
your
there's a lot
receipts.
of money, first of all, I always got the receipts, but if there's a lot of money on the line, and I know that I can find these paramours, side chicks, side dudes,
Mhm.
I'll call them in for a deposition and then
Wow.
use the transcript of the deposition in court or call them as a witness.
Insane.
Interesting. So I'm gonna really
Yeah,
open it
man.
up.
I'm playing.
I'm gonna really open it up for you guys. Any questions that y'all might have for these attorneys while they're here, y'all better come up here and make it happen, because this we
Right.
went ahead and we dropped the link in here.
I like them case studies too. Just like that one reading, that was like it was so many things going on.
Yeah.
And
It
it's like it's
was.
crazy. But shout out to KN. I'm gonna pull her up real quick. She says, leadership. Find the problem and solve the problem. Then you'll get sex from your wife and not have to cheat. Is
Man.
it as simple as that?
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I think they both have to come together. But I think what you're saying though is an interesting conversation from a male's perspective, because it's kind of like what you're saying is some men's deal breaker is once you get to the point where I feel emasculated,
Right.
I don't feel worthy here. I don't feel here. Like I don't feel accepted here. This is not the safe space for me to be in. So even for men, I guess, using that voice of saying, yeah, that's my level that's the ultimate disrespect. And there's no turning back from it.
And see, the thing is, because I'm not saying if a man's getting emasculated, it wasn't caused by actions that he took.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that once the emasculation gets to a certain point, there's no coming back from
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? And if you are in the marriage, I think it can be very scary for a man, because especially if he knows, like, look, it ain't no plan, it ain't no vision I could present to this woman. I done did the exact opposite for 5 to 6 years. I pretty much got to get me a new woman if I'm gonna ever be loved again with this new mindset
Mhm.
that I adopted. But now I'm faced with divorce. It's like, man, deal with all the stuff that comes with divorce, rather than just kind of maybe get me something on the side and kind of laying low for a little bit. But after
the
you,
result is the same.
right? I understand.
Yeah.
I do understand that, but it's just hard for me to say that there's no reason that somebody should cheat, because you just never know when you are pressed to a certain extent. You just really never know what might be.
But we're not we ain't slaves to no relationship. If it does not serve you, get your ass on.
Or
The-
even
but-
the opposite, right? Where you have some people, because even when we look at the laws and how it's transitioned to in some states to be easier to now just have a no fault base, like, oh, you don't have to prove all the
Right.
fault, right? But if you look at marriage and kind of even the changes in law, it never was something easy to get out of. It never was something to be easy to get out of. So when we look at that, we have to talk about two committed people that will fight and they will put in the work for their marriage. And if you guys didn't come to the table with that, you're already starting off unbalanced.
Mhm.
So you have to know who your spouse is. So when trials come and situations come, did you marry someone that's willing to pull up their, bootstraps and get in and put the work in to build it back? Or did you marry someone that's easy, like, I'm done?
Mhm.
Okay, so this
That's it.
philosophy that y'all got, just, hey, go ahead and get a divorce. So let's say this man has been emotionally abused. He's been emasculated. Is that the same philosophy you would give a woman who's been emotionally abused? Hey,
Yes.
hey, sis, hey, look, it's all
Leave
good.
him.
Just get over it. Just leave.
Leave them.
It depends. For me, it depends.
Why does it depend?
Because I think for different people, they have different beliefs when it comes to marriage and when it comes to also divorce. I'm never always the one that says, go get it for divorce. But if you come to me, you've done all you can, right? And that's your bar, then okay. But I do want people, when they come to me, to have a clear head and know what they're about to get into, right? Because some people will think divorce is the easy route, and it may not be, depending on your facts and your situation. It may be a long road, right? To get to that point. But I think it like I said, it depends. Some people have different foundational and moral beliefs that will, either press them to work it out, right? Or will say, no, I'm not there.
But the pushback that I give to that, and why I am not an advocate for divorce, but if you get to the point where because you keep saying emotionally, this man is emasculated, he's depressed, he's emotionally undone, he's been abused. What are we staying for? There's no moral belief to me that justifies living in misery. We all have one life to live. If you've been together for 10 years and those were happy years, and 5 years weren't happy, and you've been trying to work it out, and it hasn't worked out, and you've tried all of the things, and you tried the counseling, you've tried going to church, and you've gotten your in-laws involved, and you're trying, and it's not working out. What are we doing? You want to waste another 5 years being miserable? Why would you do that? I don't see the logic in that.
Well,
And it's not for the children, because children see you be miserable. They see you hate each other.
Yeah, it's not a logical thing. I don't think people are stuck in these abusive relationships because of logic is involved
Absolutely
at all.
not.
I think it's all the other things.
Yeah,
And
it's
all-
the emotional connection. But
the-
I think that as people, that's where going into the marriage that we have the issues.
Mhm.
Because if you're not emotionally well enough to be in a relationship where that has boundaries to it, where you have your non-negotiables identified, where you make sure that your mental health is intact, and you can say to yourself, hey, I have to be emotionally healthy individually in order to be emotionally healthy in a marriage. And if my emotional health with you is not where it needs to be, I can't serve you. I can't serve our children. I can't do any of those things, right? So when you have people that are coming into marriages with commitment issues, trust issues, childhood traumas, a whole host abandonment
Mhm.
issues, right? A whole host of things that they've never actually worked out. That's a recipe for disaster. And now you've got somebody that's codependent with somebody that's narcissistic, and you've got this tumultuous relationship
Mhm.
that's going to last until somebody pulls the plug on it.
Nah, see, actually I agree with that, because the reality of it is, and we talked about that in a lot of different episodes, that sex, when used to escape a toxic environment, at that point is just a drug.
Mhm.
What I would say though, if I can really reach and justify infidelity in any way, it would only have to be in some rare case of it being some form of an arranged business agreement where y'all are literally y'all together for political reasons, political gain. Hey,
Right.
look, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna keep this thing together. It's gonna be a brand more than a marriage. But what I'm thinking, just personally, me want to be in an environment or an ecosystem that's gonna make me happy. It's gonna be very difficult, because you could really be just using that sex to just hit the crack pipe,
Yeah.
get high, be in there, still sitting in the driveway, not wanting to go into the house, still can't stand being around her, laying down next to her, can't have sex. You don't know whether or not you should touch her or not. Maybe y'all even sleeping in different rooms.
That gotta be tormenting, man.
It
to
is
be in that situation.
absolutely that's what I imagine. I imagine a tormenting environment, and really a man that has given up on his home life, or understands that he has no influence or control in his
Right.
home, and now is just looking forward to that one mistress that makes him feel like a man
Just
for
for
just those few minutes.
Exactly.
For just those few minutes. But that shit just even sounds horrible.
Mhm.
And see, I can imagine the brothers that's probably in that situation, if they are in a situation where they're just being emotionally tormented and emasculated, the sex literally at that point is a high form. It's a
Mhm.
drug.
Mhm.
It's him trying to find himself,
Mhm.
trying to find his manhood in that woman's vagina.
Mhm.
But every time he gets right back out of the vagina, he's no longer a man again.
I mean, can you imagine how the kids treat them? I mean, the kids are going to pretty much adopt how the leaders in the household are.
household,
So,
yeah.
I mean, the kids is treating him like shit. His wife is treating him like, you know what I'm saying? He going to work. I mean, he's got nobody to communicate with. He's got all these different things going on. I mean, I just think when people get pressed in a certain situation, dealing with all this emotional stuff, I do think that, like you said, we all grieve differently. Like, it's
Mhm.
just certain things happen where we have these emotional outbursts,
Yes.
and that can end up being us having sex with somebody else.
Right.
So
And
it's
I
no
don't want
excuse
you to
for-
think that I'm shaming I don't understand cheating, because I do.
Yeah.
It's emotional impulsivity, right? Like, I get that. All of us are emotional beings, and we all have been emotionally impulsive
Yeah.
before, right? I've made emotionally impulsive decisions, so I get it. I just think that when it comes to being married and cheating, and even in a committed relationship where you have children and extensions of you, you just have to be ready to deal with
The
that
consequence, yeah.
consequence.
I
Don't
agree.
cry about it.
That's
No,
fair.
oh, this is the reason that I did. It doesn't matter the
Mhm.
reason that you did it, brother man, sister girl. You got caught with your pants down,
Yeah.
and suck it up. It's all good.
You know what? I think that's a very fair point, because if you decided to get married, you do got to deal with all the stuff that come with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of a part of the game. Like,
But I also say we're in the year of 2024, right? We're dealing with different type of relationships and how they look differently now too. Because some people are married, but that's not a deal breaker, and they understand that going in, right? They have this idea of, if you ever get to that point, do what you got to do, come back home, whatever, right? You have these, or you have polyamorous relationships,
Mhm.
right? That it's like, okay, and cheating for them is the dishonesty of who you're with. Like, I don't
Right.
know, or whatever. That's when it becomes cheating. So I also think defining what that is for your relationship, while we think that may be a global understanding, it may not be, right? Because we talk about commitment prior to being married. Some people think I'm not cheating unless we are married, right? Which means anything I did before then is not
It
cheating.
doesn't matter.
Right? It doesn't matter. Or some people are saying, well, it's cheating if I didn't tell you it was this person, but you knew this was, the situation altogether. So I think just having that definition also for your relationship is important.
I agree. What is legal from the legal sense? What is cheating?
Sexual intercourse with someone.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like oral, vaginal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Kissing.
No.
Does not.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean,
Okay.
the thing about infidelity in court is I don't have to necessarily prove the sex occurred.
Got you.
I can just have all of the evidence surrounding
Yeah.
the circumstance
The
that
relationship sex
will
message,
say
yeah.
that sex occurred or insinuate that sex occurred. So if there's hotel receipts and there's dinners and there's pictures and
Mhm.
you doing things and you know that trips,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely
What
trips
about
and
virtual?
text messages.
What about the virtual? Like, what if somebody had like a virtual relationship?
I actually had a case like that where this guy was cheating with a number of porn stars, I guess.
Okay,
he's doing like the
virtually
the cam girls?
Yeah, them cam
cam-
girls. It
it's-
was like a number of cam girls, like,
Oh,
and then
wow.
those conversations with the cam girls ended up turning into text messages, and he's sending money to the cam girls and using marital funds on the cam girls,
and
right?
that's cheating.
And that's cheating.
Yeah, she loses all respect for you at that point when she see you
Spending
cam girl.
thousands on a cam girl.
spending money on
OnlyFans.
cam girls. I actually saw James Sexton, a divorce attorney, speaking on a case where he saw his husband. He described it as a case of emasculation in particular, where wife just stopped having sex with him for not really valid reasons, but whatever the case might be. What he did in particular was go to these, I don't know, I don't want to call them like these little sex houses where like he'll get like a hand job.
You know,
So
like
he was spending $50 on a hand job just to get a release.
Mhm.
And
Slayer.
he started to build his life around these
Hand jobs.
$50 hand jobs. And he talked about just how him in particular was talking about how just disgusting and really disheartening
Yeah.
that is for a man to be in that place. But is that too considered infidelity as well?
Yes, but let me say
Definitely.
to that note, why didn't you just say, hey, let me go find me a woman that want to have sex with me and that likes me and loves me as a person because I'm worth that? What stopped him? Because he ended up being divorced anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
I don't know why. You know what? And I have to think about it
the
because
result is inevitable.
the man
What
see.
was wrong with his hand?
Well,
No, I mean, it's not the
I
same.
mean, it's not
Yeah,
the
that's
same.
the same.
Which
That's
and I get that. That's not the same. And I understand. I can conceptualize why he cheated, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't agree with it and I don't think it's right, but I can conceptualize how that happened. But the result ended up being the same anyway. He just prolonged it. You ended up divorced anyway. So why didn't you take the dignity that you had left and said, you know what, woman,
I'm
I'm
out.
gonna go find me somebody that likes me.
It's easier said than done, but I agree with you. That would have been the best.
But see,
move.
that's one thing I would say. Us men, we sit up in the marriages and we take some shit.
Just
Like,
y'all?
We do.
Just the man?
You
No,
heard
no,
it?
no. Y'all are filing for divorce. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
After a pattern of situations. It's not just one occurrence. A lot of women that come in my office, there have been a history of a lot of things that they've dealt with and they've endured, and now it's like this is it.
no, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not saying because typically if she's unhappy, so is he. Like typically, it's usually not somebody having an absolute ball in this marriage and this other person here is just sad
That's
as
true.
hell.
I'm
Yeah,
happy. You not happy?
But see, yeah, right. Like typically,
And if you are, what's making you happy? Because I got questions.
Those
now.
are some of your more abusive relationships
Yeah.
where you got one party
Yeah.
that's living it up.
and probably an outlier as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
because in more cases than not, both of them are feeling it, but the man is just thinking, I'm gonna just deal with this shit. I'm gonna just take this shit. I'm gonna just accept this bullshit every day. I'm gonna be sad walking to the house every day, whether he want to get therapy, they tried it, he not doing it, whatever the case might be. It's very interesting to me that that's usually the case, because it's usually the woman again that pulls out and ends the situation. And I really want to hear from some of my brothers about that, actually, because I know a few brothers that have sat in there unhappy.
This man getting emasculated all over the
waited.
world right now.
Right.
would have still been married. Would have still been married if their wife did not file for the divorce. They just
So what were they
been
waiting
unhappy.
on? Ask that because I want to know what were they waiting on to happen in their marriage.
First of all, the initiates are shy tonight. I think the divorce topics always get them a little shaky.
We had Brian come in. Brian, if you still on the chat, man, go ahead and get back in
Brian,
there. We'll
come
let you
back in here, man. I want to hear the thoughts of the initiates, man. Y'all come in here. As a matter of fact,
Big facts.
what we're gonna do? Hold on, wait. I want to do something special. And the next initiate that comes in, I'm gonna give you a free deck because obviously fortune favors the bold. So the next one, I got it. It's on me. But go ahead.
Shout out to Petra Kane. She says, until you find yourself in the situation, married with kids, you do not know whether it's a deal breaker or not. My husband was a cheat. I eventually separated. Then I prayed for him. And now he is a brand new man in Christ.
Amen.
There we go. First of all, there you go. Way to
Shout out
keep
to
that cheat man.
Shout out to the
That's
Canes. Shout out to the Canes.
God can
I'm
still do
joking.
it for you.
See, but I mean,
What you say?
what you say?
I said God can still do it for you. And I mean, I that's great.
Amen.
That's not everybody's story, but that's great. And I do agree with her. You don't know. That's why I say it's a lot of other things that men and women think about before they actually come into our offices.
Mhm.
And sometimes just coming to our office and getting information was enough for them to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go back.
Wow.
Right. Or I gotta plan this out a little bit more before I come back to you. Right. It may be one or the other, but it does help them get an informed decision. But I think is you a business. You got property now, you got children to raise that have seen mommy and daddy together. And maybe you're able to put on a good show for them, right? And they
Mhm.
haven't seen the unhappy side. So now to them, this would be like, well, wait a minute, what?
Mhm.
And you don't want the more damage to them. There are people who grew up in broken households who said, I'm committed to not have that for my children, no matter what, right? And I have individuals who have raised their children, gone to college, and then said, okay, now, because they're adults, they're in there, and now I'm ready, and have literally been living separate and apart, no longer as husband and wife in the legal definition of it, and they're just been waiting for the time to go.
Mhm.
So I agree with her.
Especially when, like right now, with most of my cases, a lot of people are waiting because they don't want to sell those houses. Think about like your credit, right? If you can't get a house refinanced because the interest rates are too high, but the judge don't care, sell the house so that y'all can get the equity out of it and move on, but nobody has the credit they need to get a new house.
Wow.
Right? So everybody goes from living in a nice house to two people living in apartments with kids and things like that. That'll make people stall out.
Yeah.
How many? That's stall out. That's crazy.
No, that's real.
How many people do you think are just waiting for the right? Like they already have decided they just waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
I have had the last 5 consults have said, okay, I gotta wait until this time, or some have come to me too late. So I had one who her situation was she was just getting a job. She was the stay at home. She was putting her, and now she's just getting a job, and he had deserted, left her with the bills. And I'm like, why didn't you come back to me then? We could have hurried up and filed, got him to maintain the status quo, the marital expenses, all of these things. But now you rehabilitated yourself and you're back into, which is a good thing ultimately, because the court's going, if you're able to do that, great.
Right.
But you're in a position now where it's more like we're doing recovery work of whatever the bills have not been satisfied. We got to get him to help paying that when you've already been in the house for this amount of time on your own.
Right.
So hold on, we got somebody back here that I want to go ahead and bring up. We got my brother AD backstage. AD, welcome to the show. Go ahead and take your microphone off mute, brother. Let's chop it up.
AD was good.
What's going on, brothers? I just wanted to ask the ladies a question.
Quick question, just make sure we can get to know who you are, brother. Give us your age, your location, and ask your question.
I'm 33 and I live in Texas.
He got that Texas accent too.
Shout out to Texas.
Shout out to Texas.
All right, go ahead, brother.
No, I want to chime in and ask the lawyers about the what she was calling marriageable funds. What is that considered?
Marital funds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I'm the one that mentioned he was taking marital funds and spending them on the camera girls. So that basically means any funds that are brought into the marriage by either yourself or your spouse, right? So let's say, and it doesn't have to be like in a joint account. It can just be the money from your paycheck, the money from my paycheck. Let's say I put it into one account, you put it into one account, or we do have a joint account that's supposed to go towards marital bills, expenses, the children, just maintaining our lifestyle. If you start taking that money and spending it elsewhere on a mistress or a porn addiction or drugs or, you know, unhealthy habits, then that would be what's called spoliating marital funds. And it could cause for your spouse to be owed some of that back at the time of the divorce.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, brother?
Yeah, I want to know, is it anything that you recommend to protect for a man to have in place to protect himself from anything that could be, you know, used against him, like to go to court in a wrongful matter that cannot be prevented, like if you didn't set it up prior?
A prenuptial agreement.
Okay, what kind of things can you put in the prenup that you think will hold up in court?
So the great thing
Wait,
about
hold on. AD, what you got a specific situation or something?
It was a broad question. So anyway,
let's take it there. Let's take it there because I'm gonna talk to you real quick. AD, are you currently going through a divorce?
No, I've never been married, but I want to be married at some point. And when I approach marriage, I want to make sure I'm prepared for anything that, you know, needs to be in place to protect me and my wife.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you plan on being the breadwinner in your relationship?
I don't even think that's a choice. In this time of day, I think most women want you to be full provider, anyways.
Amen.
They do.
Yeah.
No, that's there's no question of that.
Regardless of what they might say.
You all right in Texas.
So-
You all right with that.
we actually gonna talk in a little bit. We actually gonna get into the exit strategies and things to protect yourself in just a few here. So you definitely need to stay tuned in here. I was just trying to make sure this wasn't an emergency case situation where we need to have you send an email to info@harleyinitiative.com. All right. So, but you good? Are you single?
Yeah, I'm single. I'm 33 looking. I don't have no kids, and I make enough money to pay all my bills.
Okay.
Talk your talk.
What
then.
about all her bills, AD? What about all her bills?
Oh,
If she can live to my means.
Okay.
Hey,
That's a good answer.
Shout out to this man.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna ask this: what do you do for a living, by the way, brother?
Oh, right now I'm getting into IT, but right now I work in the in the construction site, but I deliver cover pipes, like
Okay.
they go in the ground.
Okay.
So I do trucking.
Got you.
Good with his hands, ladies.
But he get into IT.
So do this. Do this right here. Are you watching? You watching from YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Drop your goddamn IG in that YouTube, okay? Put your handle in there.
For the
The ladies in there. Just so you know, what part of Texas you in?
I'm in Dallas, DFW.
All right. There you go. DFW.
Yeah.
We got it in here. I appreciate you calling up, AD.
No
Shout out to
problem. No
AD.
problem. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Hey, listen,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna get you a free deck too, brother. So go ahead and send your email to info@harleyinitiative.com and I'm gonna get one sent to you, okay?
All right, man. Appreciate that a lot, man. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all what y'all do on here and having them come on and give us some insight on some things we can be, you know, well informed on. Thank you.
No
Appreciate
doubt,
you,
brother.
brother.
No
Appreciate
doubt.
you.
Hi, AD.
And see, AD switching the game up. He doing
AD.
something a little different, going from trucking to IT. So he got to make sure he get him a woman that's gonna believe in this.
Oh, I saw what you did there.
You feel what I'm saying?
I saw what you did
You feel
there.
me?
Okay.
Ladies, do you believe?
It's a
Do
full
you
circle.
believe?
Full circle moment.
Hey,
Okay.
well, if you believe, the Instagram handle gonna be in them comments. So, ladies, go ahead, DFW. So, you know, I'm curious to know this too, because y'all listen, we was talking exit strategies. You got something to read?
Just real quick, shout out to Event Yours of Spirits. She says women leave after consistent issues while living with the man. It's a confirmation as to why to leave. Whereas men don't take things seriously until the woman is out of the house. I've heard that from quite a few women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's been going out there too, where like women will do when a breakup just happens, they'll do while they're grieving early. And then when you see them change their hair, getting in the gym, all of that, they're getting over it, right? Men are cut up during the breakup, like go find somebody, be living his best life, so they think, and then realize when they go home and everything else is settled, wait a minute, I miss her.
Wow.
right? And things are not what they seem. It goes back to kind of our conversation of this: the grass is not always not greener on the other side, right? You need to water your grass, right? You need to again put the work in. I agree. I feel like it's a lot of women who take a lot of things until they reach their breaking point.
It's the okay.
I do. I think so, just even in conversation with men have some non-negotiables that may not. That could be as simple as, I don't want a woman that wears weave, does this, does it, and they'll quickly be this, like, as soon as they find out what that is, okay, I'm done.
In the
I'm
dating
gone.
stage,
In the dating stage
before
definitely,
marriage,
yes,
men stand
yes.
on business.
But yeah, they do.
They'll
We're
leave.
like, okay, well, this is just one area. But he's got all these things, so I'm gonna work with him.
Mhm.
Right? We'll work with him and then feel like, okay, in some ways, feel like we've worked with you, we invested our time, and women want a return on their investment.
Mhm.
So they will wait and see if that is going to be a return, and sometimes to a fault.
Most
Sometimes
times.
Stay too
yes,
long.
sometimes
Most times.
yeah, and it's just like, because I put too much work in, and then you want me to do this to somebody else?
And then it's ego on women's parts too, because I'll be damned if
Okay.
another woman come
And
get the man that I molded for
the
me,
benefits, right? We'll
and
reap
reap the benefits of me
Mhm.
and all the hard work I put in. And I dealt with him when he was working at Cracker Barrel, and he was, he
Cracker
was driving my car. We only had one car, and now he done came up and he worked in IT now, and he got a bag and a Maserati and a big house and a big car, and you know what I mean, and all those things. And he gonna leave me?
Absolutely.
They don't want to deal with that.
I can see that.
So just to confirm, the general consensus you're saying is that women typically, is it put up or like kind of deal with more during the marriage?
I do. I do.
Wow.
And it gets to a point where they've done all of those things, and then now maybe it's they're emasculating in how they're talking, and there's no respect anymore, right? Because I've dealt with all these things. I don't respect you. And so it comes off in tone and action and all of those things. And that has now translated from hearing what you guys are saying. It's a lot of men's deal breakers of, if you ultimately get to the level where I'm no longer feel like a man in this situation, now I have to go. So, I mean, it's, the chicken or egg, which one comes first, right? Before you get there.
Now, could it be devil's advocate? Because y'all know men are not really best with expressing how they feel and the shit that they going through.
Really?
Absolutely not.
I wasn't aware.
They are not. You will most likely not know the emotions, the troubles, the worries, the fears, the vulnerabilities of any, if even some of the men, not even most of the men for sure, that you deal with. Could it be that y'all just really don't know what a lot of these men are really dealing with, and they actually dealing with a whole lot of shit too, and they just not telling y'all nothing about it?
Absolutely. But then who is that on?
Now, again, I'm not placing, the conversation was not fault.
Okay.
The conversation was who's going through some shit.
Yeah.
Everybody is going through stuff in a relationship. Though.
Right. And see, that's the thing. Because when a lot of times it's very hard to quantify how heavy some shit is, especially for a man. This brother here already clearly said, hey, you're going to be the breadwinner? Shit, I got to be the breadwinner. That's weight. That's pressure.
I agree.
That's responsibility.
I agree.
Right? We don't even, a lot of times, a young lady's not even, it's more like, shit, you better pay this bill. You better get this. Not more of from a place of empathy. I wonder what it's like having to consider what the responsibility is or pressure is, that this is how you better perform. And I just obviously just pulled that one out of thin air, but there are a lot of other pressures that men typically face on a consistent basis, and we don't say shit about it. Definitely not to our ladies.
Because that's a part of being a man. And I think the other side of that is, to be a man is to be respected. Y'all have different responsibilities, but you also have different levels of respect, and you have different levels of, you're supposed to, right?
Right.
Because when you talk about the inequities between men and women, and they very much exist. I don't care what y'all say in the comments. Men and women are not the same. We are not equal. There are many things that men do that I cannot do, and I won't attempt to do or even pretend like I can do.
I don't want to do.
Hello, let's talk about it. Don't want to, actually. I don't want to do anything that most men have to do on a daily basis. And I think that when we talk about the responsibilities of men, I understand and I get that to be a man comes with a lot of pressure, but I also understand that you also get to walk in the world very differently than I do as a woman.
Facts.
There are certain men that won't even talk to me because they talk to men about certain conversations, right? I was dating this guy, and I remember he was getting work done at his house, and he had to leave and go somewhere, and I was at the house, and the guy who had to do the work came, and he said, "Ma'am, is your husband here?" And I said, "Well, he just left." And he said, "All right, well, I'll wait till he comes back." And I'm like, "Well, why?" He told me what to tell you to do. "I'm not going to talk about that with you, ma'am. I'm going to wait till your husband comes back."
Mm.
I was
Wow.
like, "Well, goddamn, am I slow or stupid or something?" Like, what is it? What if I was the only one here at the house?
Mhm.
What if it was just my house and I didn't have a man? And, you know, were you not going to work at my house? Because, and I think that that's the other side of the conversation, is that men do have a lot of responsibility on their plate most of the time, but y'all also got other perks. It's
I
a
get
man's world, baby.
I get it.
I would, you know what? And honestly, I'll take being a man every day of the week.
Exactly.
Listen, every
I
day
take all the
of
pressure.
the week.
Understand? I ain't complaining about a damn thing. I
Set the
am
record
not
straight.
complaining. Just to be all right. As a matter of fact, let's read that
This
super chat that just
just
came in.
Shout out to Keisha Braylock. She says, divorce hearing next month. No prenup. What options do I have to counter his possible request for spousal support?
What do you mean it's possible, baby? If you got a divorce hearing next month, we don't know if he has a spousal.
Keisha, call up
request.
here. I'm gonna drop
Yeah,
the
I need
link
to
for you,
talk to her.
Keisha.
Yeah,
It's
we need a
next
little bit. We
month.
need a little bit more, Keisha. You have
Yeah.
children.
I'm
Do
scared.
you have
Where's she
like
at?
it's what's properties do you have also? Because sometimes you can negotiate out of spousal support with an inequitable property division, giving them maybe more equity in the home, more 401k that can be equivalent of calculating how long the spousal support will be, and then you just get it and be done with in that way, so you don't have the continual commitment. So there
Yeah.
are some things, but we definitely need more facts.
And
Keisha,
I'm
go ahead and
nervous
call
about
in because
that.
I got some follow-up questions too.
Yeah.
Like, do you have legal representation currently? It's
I
probably
think
my
that's
first
the
question.
part I'm nervous about. She said his possible request. So
Yeah.
did he request it or
Yeah,
not?
that's true.
Yeah, Keisha, go ahead and
We
call
need to
in
know
so we
if
can
you-
get you some game. And it sounds like Keisha is 9 times out of 10 the breadwinner in this
Yeah,
relationship as
she's
well.
worried. Yeah.
Oh my god,
That spousal support. Man,
I just
oh
could
man.
not imagine. I could
Let's
not
talk.
imagine trying to get a woman's money.
Come on.
It
I
depends.
just can't imagine. Now,
Mm-mm.
I
But
could.
some men will do so.
I
Some,
would-
it's sometimes it's a legal
I don't
strategy
think it's
behind
fair.
it. Like
Okay.
in a lot of the cases that I have where men have not been the breadwinner, so to speak, has been because now they're not going to be the primary parent. So they have a child support obligation. So they're either trying to lower that by getting maintenance, which Illinois, we can't offset, right? It offsets the numbers. So
Interesting.
it can either lower your child support amount or can eliminate it completely, only for a duration of time, depending on if you're rehabilitated of permanent alimony. So there's some financial strategies behind why some
Requesting it.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
a lot of times we use it as a negotiation tool.
correct.
You know that you can ask for it. Do you really want it? No, but
Right.
ask for everything in the beginning
Absolutely.
so that they know you coming in swinging,
Mhm.
and that'll possibly heighten the chances of settlement.
Mhm.
now that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Actually, we got another super chat in here. We just got one from Event Yours.
Shout
of
out to
Spirits.
Event Yours of Spirits again, doubling up with the super chat. She says, I do believe if a woman helped hold him down during his come up phase, the woman also needs to know that she needs to be ready for that come up life.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I had to read it twice to
She
make sure I read
needs
it
to be
right.
ready for the meaning, like he's going to
cheat
forget
on
about
you?
her.
What does
Or
that
what are
mean?
we? Or are we
Maybe.
Well, she
saying
sent the
like?
follow up
Maybe.
just now. She just sent the follow up. Check
Okay,
that one
Let's
out.
check out the
Okay.
follow up. If he changes, she needs to change. The problem is when the woman doesn't elevate when her husband elevates, is where you get men leaving after they come up.
Now, girl, you know
Mm.
good and
Now she's holding
damn well
holding the ladies accountable with that one.
What Kanye say when he get on, he'll your ass for a
Well,
white girl?
right?
Another
What he
one.
said?
That's what
So
so,
let's be clear. It's not always women that aren't elevating with their men. There are some men, it's a very popular YouTube that calls them Build-A-Bear men. There are some men that are with you as you can build them up. And then once they reach a certain level, when it comes to status and financial ability and things like that, and they attract a different tier of women, they no longer want you.
Mhm.
They can attract the kind of women they've wanted all along now because they've reached a level that they have access to those women. They didn't have access to them working at Lowe's, but they have access to them working as the CFO of Lowe's.
Now, if you say this type of woman, I'm assuming it all comes down to physical attraction.
Most of the time, and status, and
Okay.
Speaking
money, and depending on
Yeah.
what you care about, right? As a man, some men value some men now value financial abilities of women, right? So some men, I want a woman that make $1 million. Well, you know, if you drive a truck, you ain't about to find a woman that necessarily makes $1 million, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in a different social setting now, because you have a career that allows you to be in that different social setting, you're reaching different levels of women.
Right.
And traditionally, that means you might also be attracting more attractive women,
Right.
right, than what you're naturally used to. So
Mm.
I think that has more to do with it than a woman elevating with her man.
Because
Ooh,
normally
that's a
times
scary
it's-
thing too, right? For a woman, I mean, you put in the work, you help this
Mhm.
man get where he need to be, and now he has so much money. He's got all these new women that are interested in him.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And then, say, speaking of that,
Seems
we
kinda
actually
scary.
working. We actually working to get Tori Hart on the show. Just side note, relevant person.
I don't know why he said that.
I was trying to
It's
put
true,
two
though.
and two together.
It's true though.
Actually,
I don't know why he
Sean,
said
I'm
that.
picking up what you're putting down.
Look, I mean, it happens. I mean, that's just a reality of the situation. And sometimes, depending on where you're at in life, whatever it costs to, switch it out or get what I want, them brothers willing to pay.
And that's true. Because the men, once they get the money, they like, yo, I don't care what I gotta pay in a divorce settlement. It's over.
And that's the biggest
Mhm.
risk in being a woman that's, in that building phase.
Or a woman, period. If you want to be in a relationship with somebody, like you really risk your life. Like you tie your life to that person's
especially if
decisions.
you're the
Yeah.
dependent spouse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Nah, that's real. That's very real. We got anything else to read, or I want to actually
Yeah,
get to
shout out to SBU Live. Men deserve respect. SBU, I completely agree with that. Shout out to Simply Nzinga for just showing love continuously. Another one, dropping those memberships. And
Another one.
And shout out to my man. I think this is just a question. Players are in demand. Hey, okay. It's okay to get a man's money, but not a woman. No, I think he might have been talking about what I said. I just can't imagine, unless it's legal strategy.
Mhm.
I just would never have the intent to actually get a woman's money, because I never have felt like a woman's money is my money.
Mhm.
I just don't feel comfortable with that. It just kind of feels like scrubbery. But
I think that speaks to
You
the
know.
kind of man that you are,
Yeah.
right? Some men have certain ideologies and other men have different ideologies. I think that, like me as a divorce attorney, I don't care whose money is on the table. We're gonna put it all on the table.
Check it out, y'all.
It's a
I
different
love it.
lens. It's a different
So
lens.
we actually got Keisha just came up in here, so we about to get some details to the situation.
Oh, this is Keisha with the divorce.
Yeah.
shout out to
Okay,
Keisha.
Keisha, what are you living?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up? Okay, so we do not have any kids together.
Give us some context to the situation.
And just
Where-
let you know, Keisha, we fully support you. We're gonna take his ass down in court. Okay?
So listen, is it like, so just for context, what's your age and location?
I'm 44. I live in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Okay.
44 in Cleveland. Okay, tell us the
Yes.
detail.
Okay, just some backstory. He's been married twice. This is my first marriage. We've been married 3 years, and I filed divorce in December, and I just got the email from the court system about our divorce hearing next month. So, yeah, I'm just wondering, like, because
You
I
filed
haven't
for
seen
divorce?
what's that?
She found.
You filed for divorce.
I did. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, Keisha, what was his counterclaim to your divorce? Did he answer
Yeah.
to the divorce at all? Did he ask for something specific?
That I don't know yet because they haven't sent me the they were supposed to send me the email the other day and I haven't
Okay.
gotten it yet. So that's what I'm waiting for.
You need to get that as
Yeah.
soon as possible, because what did you ask for in your divorce petition? Did you just kind of ask for general things like split the debt, split the assets, no children, everybody kind of go with what they came with?
I didn't ask for anything because we didn't have anything together. We didn't have any kids, no properties, none of that.
Okay.
So just basically, you leave with what you came in with.
Are you guys living together now?
No,
Are you living together? Okay.
Does he work?
he does. He does the ride shares, and I'm a registered nurse.
Oh,
Damn.
damn.
Okay.
So let me ask this, Keisha, just in general. When you met this brother, how long y'all been married, by the way?
It was 3 years.
Mhm.
Y'all was married for 3 years. And
That's not that long.
were you guys always, was he, because it sounds like is he struggling to provide financially at this point?
Yes.
Has he
Yeah.
always been struggling to provide when you guys first got married?
I found some things out after we got married, and it kind of made me a little nervous and just
Hold on, Keisha. Hold on before you keep going. I want us to be mindful of what we ask her with her hearing coming up next month.
Yeah, on this
Okay.
on this platform.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So let us know. You got to let us know.
Like, for example,
that was fine, but I don't want to dive too much into what she knew prior to or during the marriage or what she had knowledge of, because we don't know what his claims are against her just yet.
Yeah.
For next month.
Got it.
Hopefully he didn't file anything.
So just in general,
Hopefully, yeah.
it's a high likelihood though that he might be trying to come and get a checkup out of you, just knowing who he is.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Is there an income disparity between the two of you, to your knowledge?
Say that one more time.
Is there an income disparity between the two of you? You're an RN, so I can imagine that you make a good living.
Yes.
Okay. My advice to you would be tomorrow you need to call the clerk's office and or go to the clerk's office and try and get a copy of a responsive pleading if he filed one. And if he did not file one, then that's fine. But you need to know if he has asked for any claims. Is there a reason that you didn't hire an attorney to help you in Ohio?
Honestly, I couldn't really afford one, honestly, right now. With the situation here with nursing, they cut our pay in half like the last month or so. So it would be hard for me to do that right now. But
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So get a copy of the responsive pleading if he filed one. That would normally be called an answer and counterclaim, or just an answer, depending on if he didn't claim anything, and just find out what he would be asking the court for. If he didn't file a responsive pleading, then that's good for you.
Yeah.
But you kind of need to know that, especially with your hearing coming up next month. If he did file a responsive pleading, then hit me up in my DM on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah, there you go. That's the breakup lawyer on IG, just so you know. And
Right.
too, by the way, what ultimately, before I let you go, what ultimately made you say, you know what, this shit ain't working, it ain't worth fighting for anymore, I'm filing for divorce? What was that breaking point that you had that made you go ahead and make that decision?
Honestly, it's been a combination of things since the second anniversary to the third anniversary. I didn't feel like he wanted to work to make things better. I was trying to get us to go to counseling. He didn't want to do that. It was just a lot of back and forth games with the counseling. And, I used to write in journals all the time. And I found a journal that I had wrote in like 3 years ago. And a lot of the stuff that we were arguing about then, we're still arguing about it now. And I felt like, if we're still arguing about this stuff and we're 5 years into being in a relationship, who's to say that anything is going to change? And I don't want to waste another, 3 to 5 years waiting for change, So I was just like, what, I'm gonna have to cut my losses here with this, because at this point I feel like I'm spinning my wheels and we're not getting anywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
And here's the thing: you've always got to make the decision that's best for you, right? And your family. Don't necessarily listen to what other people tell you to do, because sometimes people will tell you, girl, you need to get a divorce, or girl, you need to leave him, or girl, you need to da-da-da-da-da. But it's really nobody else's decision but yours. And only you will know you're ready to make that move, right?
Exactly.
So what you feel is best for you. And what I like to always tell people is some divorce is not always the end of the road. You know how many people I've seen get divorced and then get remarried, right?
I've heard of that.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's a wake-up call, right, for your spouse. They like, dang, I didn't think this girl was ever gonna leave me. And then you leave, and then they're like, oh, I've lost the best thing I ever had.
Yeah.
Let me now try to work on it. And if you ever decided to go back to that relationship later on down the line, if things change, then that's your decision too. So you do what's best for you always.
And I want to ask this too, because do you still want to get married after this divorce?
I go back and forth about that all the time. And one minute I'm like, yeah, maybe, some years down the line. But then I'm like, I don't know, because, so I'm just back. I'm on the fence with that. So, I mean, I still believe in love, but as far as marriage, I'm really on the fence with it right now.
Understood. And I hear a lot of people that's going through the process say just that.
Right.
What's the number one thing that you've learned that you're going to take going into your next relationship to prevent being in the same spot you're in now?
I learned to just slow down, ask questions, ask follow-up questions, and just go with my gut. If someone, tiptoes around answering a question or try to sidestep a question, don't ignore the red flags. Cut ties then and move forward.
Mhm.
See, that's why that's why we made this damn deck right
Right,
here, y'all.
right after
It
pre-marriage
always comes
counseling.
back to the questions.
You gotta play that Harley in Love. Right,
Right.
after pre-marriage counseling, just to be sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But look, thank you so much for coming up here
Appreciate you,
and
Keisha.
chopping up with us, Keisha. Okay.
Good luck, Keisha.
I got
Ladies-
somebody else to bring up here one more time. Hold
Yeah,
on one
well-
second.
Well, I wanna ask this real quick
Let's do
because Keisha, like you said, it's a income disparity
Mhm.
and she's a resident nurse, she's making some money. I know for men, that's always on the table. Like we always are considering how much money am I bringing versus my potential spouse.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Do you find that women are considerate, like these women who are the breadwinners, are they really considering the financial aspect before they get into it?
Yeah, before
Absolutely.
they get into the
The-
marriage.
the
or
marriage, the marriage.
divorce.
Because men think about it
No.
before we even get into the marriage.
No,
Yeah,
I hate
no.
that. They don't.
They
I
don't.
think it's stupid.
They don't.
Really?
Yeah.
So they just like, hey, even though I
just
make
love him.
Yeah.
twice to 3 times as much as this guy,
Mhm.
it's love for them.
I
And
have
then
the
they're
companionship
surprised.
and all the
Yeah.
other things, right? Yeah, but they do get surprised. And there's some times where and I think Brittany brought it up earlier in just not being complacent with not if you fall down or in terms of your income. Some women will be like, this is not it, and they'll keep wanting you to get to a certain level and you just don't get there. And in certain situations, when you continue on with the marriage without filing, you do come complacent with them being at that level and you being the breadwinner. So sometimes not taking action when you don't agree with certain things in your marriage can be at fault when you get a divorce, because it's as if you agreed to it
Correct.
because you continued on with it as the status quo of your marriage for a while. But I don't think all the time women look at the financial
Aspect of it.
Not as
No.
breadwinners. Not until it's time for them to get a divorce, and they're like, "But he's a man.
Mhm.
I gotta pay him."
Mm.
I'm like, "Girl, yeah, the law don't have no gender attached to
Or,
it. That says
or,
he can't
or
get
it's
out
my
of it.
or it's my house. And then I was like, did you pay for it during the marriage? Then it's your house. Then it's your house. It's not.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't
If
matter
you
whose
purchased it
house
during the
it's on.
marriage,
Oh
And,
my
and a lot of times they're
gosh.
like, well, it's only my name is on them. Okay,
it
that's
doesn't
cute.
matter.
You
Right.
still have to split it. Yeah.
I cannot imagine that.
Mhm.
But I see, they giving the man opportunity. Because I mean, and that's the thing. We have a lot of the coaches. We speak to them. They talk about giving these men who make a little bit less money opportunity.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna do that as a woman, it sounds like you really
Comes
need
with
to
responsibility.
be. It
Yeah,
comes with, right,
it does.
right.
It's
Absolutely.
risk.
Hey,
It's
listen,
risk.
Damn.
Flora, you was backstage. I want you to come back up. I want to hear what you had to say. But we got a couple super chats I want you to read real quick, Ryan.
Yeah, shout out to Shati, man. Seems like Shati and Simply and Zinga just battle it out for these gifted memberships. So shout out to Shati for coming
Another
through. Shout out to Kate Ann. She says only like 10% of divorces result in alimony. Most divorces get squat diddly. Most men have nothing to worry about. Ladies, is
I
that
don't know
true?
where
Where
that
did- where
comes
did that-
from.
what
So
is that?
any statistics that you're going to use for divorce should come from the CDC website.
CDC.
Okay, yes, the CDC
Okay.
has all of the divorce statistics for current years. I think did it just get
Where did-
updated?
Wait, so a lot of alimony
Where
be
do you
getting.
think that one came from?
I don't know. Probably.
Okay, let us know you-
10%.
Probably a gossip blog or something. I don't know.
Okay, let us
Wow.
know. So alimony is getting shoveled out.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of my cases, yeah.
Rehabilitative, most of the
Mhm.
time, permanent alimony, not so much
Yeah.
in Georgia. You have to have a really long-term marriage, and there's usually some sort of medical issue that's going to
Reasons,
keep
right.
the
Mhm.
spouse. Like I had the last permanent alimony case I had, it was
permanent alimony.
yes,
That
it was
sounds
a
horrible.
20+ year
Yes.
marriage.
That's usually
The
where it is.
husband was like when I say a breadwinner, multi-million dollars a year, right? And mom slash wife, obviously, had cancer, and he was like cheating on her while
Oh.
she was in chemo, and it was a whole thing,
Oh.
right? So she ended up getting a condo that he had to continue to pay for, and permanent alimony, and like a vehicle, and a whole
Mhm.
host of other things.
How many kids they had?
The children were adults because it was like 27-year
Mhm.
marriage, right?
How many they had?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Because they were
trying to-
adults, it didn't really matter in that
Yeah.
Okay.
case. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Shout out to KK says relationships come down to energy, married or not. If you bring loving, supporting energy and hold space for your partner's growth, you will grow.
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
A safe
And
space.
we got one more I'm gonna take real quick. Hello. Clearly, these women have brains and beauty. Shout out to T. Woodley. He says, but I'm curious if they feel like their line of work has tainted their view on marriage and relationships.
No.
If yes, have they done any therapy to address it? Wow, your attorney should be in therapy.
Come on.
Right.
First of
They
all, I
should
imagine
be,
that. I think
actually.
that's like automatic therapy. In
Right,
this
because
case.
they're dealing with all y'all shit. That's why.
Yeah.
Facts.
So
Has it tainted your view?
it hasn't tainted, it's helped my view. it's helped me to ask more questions. It's helped me to kind of dive into listening more and watching more in terms of when I'm dating. So like you can, don't ignore what a man says, right? And think that you can convince them otherwise or anything else. If they tell you something and how they feel, they mean it, right? And I think sometimes we as women try to convince otherwise, or we analyze actions and maybe not listen to the words. So, I mean, if anything, it's helped me, and it's helped me to focus on building a foundation of friendship, of respect, of, understanding first before I ever would go, back into that. I've been married before, but before I ever go back into a situation like that.
Got it.
I want to hear Brittany.
You always want to hear my answer.
You're damn right.
No, it hasn't. I think for me, one, I have been in therapy. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and that every person on earth needs to go. Man, woman, child. I think that the reason I'm very particular, Tyshawn, about relationships, especially relationships that I enter into, is because I understand what the other side of that looks like through what I do and just my own experiences, right? And being in unhealthy, quote unquote, toxic relationships previously. And I think that I always say before I take that walk down the aisle, I know what I don't want to happen in a marriage. And marriage is a risk. I want everybody to understand that. Like, you can be with someone for a very long time and wake up and they're a completely different person. And you have to be strong enough and willing to say, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. I know I've invested a lot of time and it might be time for me to utilize my boundaries and walk away. Yeah. And I think that for me on my end, I understand that level of commitment, and that when I do it, I'm not just doing it for fun, and I'm not doing it so that I can stand in front of the same judges I practice in front of one day and be embarrassed with all my dirty laundry out there. So it hasn't tainted it. It's just made me very careful and motivated to make sure that I make the right decisions in dating.
Okay. Got to make the right decisions.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Dunny 5000. Dunny says they are doing a great job of keeping me from ever getting married. Marriage just looks like a real liability with no advantages.
That's not true.
Wow.
We're just talking about the end of marriage. We're not talking about all the beautiful things that happen during it and the walk to being married and being in a committed relationship. It's just, perspective, Donnie.
Perspective.
No, absolutely. So because we over here giving the ladies game, let's talk about this, because this is where it gets a little dark, but I want y'all to get dark with me. Because if there was a woman, breadwinner in particular, well, you know what? Let me keep it open. Let me keep it open. Just a woman in general that wanted to have the most favorable outcome in the courts. Essentially, she want to win. All right. Look, everybody loses in divorce. But it's war. I mean, that's really what it is.
It can be.
It's you versus you. That's even how the paper look, ain't it? Like versus. It's like, like it's you battling up against you.
Yes.
So if someone wants to get the most favorable outcome, what should she do to prepare herself? Because you say ladies be doing that too anyway. They typically got the exit strategies. What should that look like for her to make sure she gets the most favorable outcome? And if you got to throw some situations around to give some context, that's fine too. But I want to know. Let's start with you, Brittany.
You love to start with me.
I do love to start with you. Because you look like you didn't want to start. So
I didn't want to start.
You picking on her. You picking on her.
He loves to pick on me, child. It depends on circumstance, Tyshawn. But one, being married in and of itself is a great strategy to begin with. Making sure that most things are done during the marriage rather than prior to the marriage, because there is such a thing as marital property versus separate property, right? Understanding where the money is going. A lot of women don't know where money is. They don't know that money exists. They don't have access to the accounts. They don't know how much the mortgage is. They don't know how much equity is in the house. They don't know how much is in the savings account. They don't know anything. So it's very easy for a man to say, I don't have no 401k. Right?
Yep.
Because she doesn't look at the pay stubs that he brings in. She doesn't ask questions about the finances. She knows nothing, right? So when you have women that don't have knowledge, it's very hard for me as an attorney to go looking for something that I don't necessarily know exists.
Thanks.
Right? So equipping yourself with knowledge all together gives you a leg up, and that's a good strategy,
Mhm.
right? This sounds so
No.
wrong.
Say it.
Once you get to the point where you're thinking about divorcing, I give certain pieces of advice about children.
Mhm.
So
Same.
if you know that as the mom, you are going to request primary physical custody, I suggest you not leave that child at home with dad for a week at a
Facts.
time.
Mm.
That's not smart
So if you want primary physical custody,
Mhm.
you need to make sure you spending the most time with,
with
the
the
kids.
children.
Oh Lord.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hope y'all getting this.
Yeah. And I even add on to that, depending on because most of the time the courts want to keep the children stable
Mhm.
in whatever school district they're in. So if you can't afford to keep the home, and what that looks like is having the income and having the credit to change things in your name. If you can't afford them, you need to be staying in the house as long as possible,
Mhm.
but looking for an apartment in the area so that your children, or wherever you can live in the area, so that your children don't have to change school districts.
Right.
Because if there is a change, sometimes most of the time that's not favorable in that situation.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's some game on child custody,
Mm-hmm.
and also just some overall game you gave on just understanding what's going on in the finance department
Correct.
of the family.
Correct. If you think that he's hiding money, you need to start open that mail.
Open the mail. Thank you. I was just gonna say
Open that
the mail and take
mail. Look at the mail.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong? Where the camera? What is wrong with y'all? Open the mail. Look through the statements. Look at the credit cards. Look where he's been spending his money at.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the mail.
Please.
Most of the time, the answers are in the mail.
Yeah.
If you see a brand new bank account that you've never seen before, honey, he's hiding money.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I could not imagine having somebody in my house that I'm at war with like that. That's just
And
crazy.
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens, bro. It
Insane.
absolutely goes down that way.
He just
So let me
Man.
let me ask you this though, because we're on a roll right now.
Mm-hmm.
Breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
She's the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does she do to protect herself?
The opposite of everything.
Right.
I mean, if she's the breadwinner, go ahead, Sahara. I hate being the bad guy because then people get in my DM and be like, "Oh, she them kind of lawyer. She's a snake." I don't want to hear that.
No. I mean, we don't promote divorce, but I mean, it happens. So we want to be protected and we want to win.
This is just a part of the game.
Yeah.
So if she's the breadwinner and facts are always different, but if she's the breadwinner and in some way can control her income, I would recommend controlling it strategically so there's a decline.
Bonus
income.
structures.
Bonus and incentives
Commissions.
or overtime. You can't. Oh, you're devoted to your children more now. We're not going to do overtime.
Can't do overtime.
Can't do
actually.
it. Extracurriculars are all up, and we're going to everything, right?
Wow.
If
Especially
you
as it
are
relates to
aggressively putting into your 401k, slow that
Stop
down.
that.
Yeah, slow that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
To a certain degree. Yep.
Mhm.
So it's
And you got to do it.
You
The
gotta do it
timing
strategically.
matters
Yeah,
too.
you gotta-
You can't do it right before you file
Yeah.
because then the judge is going to know you did it with the intention of filing for divorce.
Absolutely.
But if you already know that maybe a year before, this might not work out, you need to start preparing yourself.
A year before.
Oh yeah.
They said most people start planning
they
3 years
plan.
before.
Yeah, they
Right.
plan.
That sounds right.
I'm disgusted by that.
Right.
That sound
People
right.
know.
That's insane.
People
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So if you know, then you need to start planning that
Yeah.
because a year or two of less money being put into my 401k might just be lifestyle change, not necessarily I don't want him to get it in a divorce.
And also start doing your finances differently. So if you have always been the breadwinner and paying a higher percentage of the expenses than him, then have a different conversation. Say, hey,
Correct.
I can't do it no more. Let's do 50-50. Or can you take over a little bit
Correct.
now?
I have a
And-
case
and keep it
that's
that way.
about to happen where the wife actually asked, could she start taking over the mortgage? And I was like, hell no, don't you let her take that mortgage
Yeah.
over.
Mm-mm.
Son, you've been paying
Mm.
that mortgage for the past 5 years. You better keep paying it.
Wow.
So she's trying to get in.
Yeah, because technically the house was purchased before the marriage,
Mhm.
but there's a way to turn separate property into marital property.
Mhm.
And the way that he is turning that separate property into marital property is by him paying those mortgage payments directly. And he's been doing that for the past 5 years.
Smart
Well,
man.
they're on the out and out. And now wifey has said for the past 3 months, she wants to pay it solely by herself. No,
because she
ma'am.
want to win the house and the divorce
Correct.
proceedings.
She's trying to bar him from getting equity out of the house.
Mhm.
Insane.
Y'all listen and listen. It's some brothers in here I see in the chat. They're a little
It's
tight,
free
but
game.
but I'm gonna be
It's free
honest
game.
with you.
Ain't it? This free
Just so
game.
y'all
Should be
know,
tight, though.
this is first of all, these are the conversations that's being had with the attorneys anyway.
Mm,
And if you're smart, you understand that the same game for them is the same game for you.
And it is.
It is.
It is no different,
No gender.
especially
Mhm.
when you start talking about the game with the breadwinners. That's pretty much that's not gender specific. That's
Not
the
at all.
same thing that even a man
Mhm.
in that situation should also do if again he wants to have a favorable outcome. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But those women who are the breadwinners, what is their reasoning for divorce?
Because they're tired. Usually they're tired of carrying the load. And they've been waiting for whatever the dream was to happen, and it's not happening. It's not actually, or it's like you not doing this, or I'm at a different level financially from you. So, but then you're not helping in other areas. So where's the benefit? There.
So these women, these breadwinner women that's taking on these husbands, is it like when they are going into the marriage, are they actually thinking that the roles would at some point switch? Is this an
or
actual goal there?
equalize, or equalize.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
I guess my confusion is if you're doing all the things to be the breadwinner
Mhm.
and that's your role. So I would assume that you're not occupying the supportive role. So how can you expect this man to eventually come and become a breadwinner if he's really not receiving that type of assistance from you?
I mean, it really depends on what they do. So there's some careers that maybe they don't have, it requires a lot of time for them not to be able to be home, cook, clean, handle the children and all those. But there are some careers that can, allow them to free up their money. They just make, whatever their business adventure is, it's residual income that's coming in some areas that frees up their time to be able to be home and to be able to do all the X, Y, and Z, which in some, just calling a spade a spade. Like
Right.
if a woman is saying, I can do this and I can do all these things, and what is the necessity of you?
And the
Right.
reality of it is a lot of marriages where women are breadwinners, there are still gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole reason that women got a
Absolutely.
problem with 50-50, because it's never really 50-50.
Right.
It's usually 50-50 income, but I still gotta cook, clean,
Mhm.
suck,
Yeah,
and
okay.
everything else. You
Okay.
know what I mean? And do the laundry and take care of the kids. And while my man and I go half on the bills, and he sits up and watch Sunday Night Football.
Mhm.
Well, so if a woman is going to have this attitude, she has this mindset of, hey, if I can do it, you should be able to do it too. And I already make 2 to 3 times more than you. Would you advise that a man even marry a woman that is making more money than him? Is that even a good strategy?
I think most men, would you?
I mean, so some men, does it depend on the disparity?
Yeah,
Right.
I
Like
would
if-
not.
Okay.
Okay,
I would
Tasha.
not.
Would I marry a woman that makes more money than me?
Yes, sir.
I can't see really. I can't see it, man. Shout out to a woman that's really
I
I had grinding harder than me right now.
Yeah, because the thing
Honestly,
is,
no,
You
because
can't see that happening, huh?
for her to make more money than me, she got to be working as hard as I'm working or harder. And that shit just sounds like a neglectful ass relationship.
But whoever
So I don't even
makes
see
the
that
goal
happening.
makes the golden rules. That's just how that's just how it works. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Look, I don't care how much money I'm making. I want to make the rules. So if a
Why do
woman,
you want to make the rules?
that's just what I trust. That's what I'm comfortable with.
Mm.
That's just what I know. That's how I've been raised.
Okay.
So that's my thing.
Now,
So-
I think if a dude is like that dude, a woman could be making that bag and he's still leading and making all the decisions in the house.
You think a woman, even if she's
Yeah.
making more than him?
Absolutely.
How
100%. I know of a situation like that. So I know
Okay.
it can happen.
with a woman now?
Yes.
And he's that dude.
he's that dude.
Okay.
And you gotta show
And
me.
when I say-
you gotta show me,
Yeah.
because these women is not coming asking for these divorces because they married a bunch of guys that's just that dude.
No,
And the thing
I
about-
agree with you though.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that it just seems like a very odd and rare circumstance where a guy is able to function and his woman is putting in all this work and getting this bread.
It's uncanny.
I just don't even see that.
It's uncanny. I would agree. Typically, when you see those relationships, it might be because, you know, again, he's like really dream chasing, and you know, what he's shooting for is really big, where he plans on swinging it very quickly if he gets it. Or it could just be a dude that's extremely complacent, very modest, probably on the more, for lack of better words, beta end of the spectrum. And actually, he's a good balance for his woman because she is a A-type woman, and that's the kind of man she needs in her life.
And I think that's facade. I think that's just not true. I think that's what's communicated to us. Like, hey, women are looking for these kind of guys. It's kind of going to support them. But I just don't think that's going to sustain for a long term of relationship.
I agree.
I mean, okay, so I mean, y'all.
I agree.
These are divorce attorneys. They're going to let us know what the situation is.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing as a woman.
Yeah, I think that a woman, if she's already, you know, in a certain trajectory, she's already established financially, she's living a certain lifestyle.
Exactly.
And if anything in joining a union has to diminish that lifestyle, it's not going to be appetizing to her.
Or not even diminish it. I think it's like you can't add to it.
Yeah, correct. Right. Or even some women, because they do understand this marriageable pool that we have or lack thereof, will kind of say, if you can at least maintain it, right? If you can, meaning if I can still take the same amount of trips that I want to take, I can still do the things I want to do. And there's no question about the finances and everything at home is taken care of. And we're not, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if we can do that. Then okay. But if I in some way now have to penny pinch and do things like that, or be concerned that you cannot go with me as a companion for the things I wanted to do, then that may be concerning. Like
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't, I'm not blaming women for going out and get the bag. That's what
Right.
you want to do. That's what you want to do. But I think it's fair for a woman to kind of have that mindset. Like, look, she's going to be waiting for you to perform in this certain way to either help me maintain or increase the level of lifestyle. And there's already enough pressure with being a man in general. So, I mean, I already have this pressure in my head that I want to continuously get better and better and better. But now you're telling me I got a clock that's winding down for this woman. If I don't hurry up and get it, she's going to be at my throat about it. It just doesn't seem like a very good deal. I mean, it's plenty of women out there, or plenty of fish, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to pick one that's okay with, living the lifestyle that I, at that current time in the future, can maintain.
Yeah,
I
so
agree
I
with
just
that.
think that's reasonable.
I think that's wise.
I couldn't get married without a man being able, like I've
do
always
it.
said, I can't get married if our income is dependent on me going to work.
Right.
Mm.
Because there's going to be one.
Yeah.
I work very hard.
Okay.
And at some point, I'm going to want to take a break. And if I can't take a break because the lights will be off with our combined income, I have a problem with that.
But I think that's wisdom in and of itself, that when people are talking about marriage, you should be living on one person's income.
Right.
Yes.
And women don't want it to be, well, me, I'm gonna speak for me. I don't want it to be mine, right? I do want it to be where if we down the line decide I can take a break, whatever, we can still sustain on yours.
Right.
And so a lot of times women do think that way. But I think even for whatever the case may be, I think it's wisdom to just live off one person's income, because it's not everybody.
You never know what's going to happen. And it's the same way with a man.
Yeah.
Right. I have the skill set and the experience in being able to maintain a household, so that if something ever happened to my husband, hopefully we have things in place that would allow for me to be able to maintain our lifestyle. Right.
Right.
I feel like if that's just too much pressure. If both of us gotta go, like we have to go to work or we don't eat, that's a problem for me.
Or even allowing us to do some of the softer side of the attorney work.
Correct.
Right. Like we're not in the courtroom all the time. We're not doing that all the time, but we can do maybe some transactional things.
Right.
I think that's reasonable, unless it's an odd situation. You Ryan Coogler, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to get your scripts off, or you Jeff Bezos or something. I get it. You broke. You trying to get the thing popping, but if it ain't that, it's just like, yo, you might just want to look in the other direction, because I think that woman is just going to have a higher standard that you can afford at that time.
Right.
But
That's a fact.
so listen, I'm gonna give out or shout out a couple super chats. Shout out to Dr. Nisha. You got to let us know, doctor. It's not just increased lifestyle, it's increased help in domestic duties. Okay, interesting. Shout out to Couture Leotard, says, would I need to
read the I think it was another one she sent first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let me
read
see
the one
that.
she sent first and then go into that one.
To
here she sent
Couture.
two. Couture.
Got it. Shout out to Couture. She says, should I file uncontested with children and a home?
No.
He cheated, stopped paying bills, left the state, and after a year and a half, finally got a job, still paid more than me. I paid all the bills for that year.
Why?
What?
Insane.
What do you
Would you
mean
do
file
that?
uncontested? What's the next? What's the next?
Then
one
it's a,
after
then it's a
that?
part two.
Now, the part two is would I need to ask for spousal support so I can keep the home? I can't afford a mortgage or rent on my own. How do I keep the home and have him pay half or all of it? 23 years of marriage.
Damn.
Yes.
This is a woman who gave her life to marriage.
That's
Yeah.
not uncontested.
That's not uncontested.
at all.
So a lot of times people think uncontested means we both agree on the divorce. Uncontested means we have agreed on every single
thing.
aspect, child support to who gets what, to how much you're going to pay, to when you're going to vacate the house, if you're still living in it, right? So if there's one thing that you're disputing, it's uncontested. So this would be uncontested.
Contested.
Contested, right? I'm sorry. If there's one thing you are disputing, is contested. So this would be contested, especially if you're asking for certain things that he probably. And my question is, what have you been doing for the year if you need it, if you need the support now?
And you said you couldn't afford the rent or the mortgage.
Right.
How were you able to afford it over this past year? And that's the part where you waited too long
Yeah.
to file, because you've obviously proven that you have the earning capacity to be able to pay the rent and the mortgage
Self-sufficient.
for at least
Mhm.
a year. So that's going to go against you in that argument in court
Yeah.
that you can't maintain the house. Now,
Wow.
she may not be able to refinance the home into her name if she doesn't meet the income
Correct,
requirements or the
correct.
credit requirements, but you have some sort of earning capacity if you lived on that year for your own. Now, that doesn't mean, it sounds like a desertion or abandonment case
Yeah,
as well. I
yeah.
don't know what state she's in, but you might have a case in some areas, but you need to talk to an attorney, but you don't have a uncontested divorce. It's definitely contested.
Definitely.
Insane.
Wow.
Shout out to Only One Kenny. She says in New York City, inherited property is not marriage property.
Correct.
However, can it be included in assets and wealth distribution in a divorce during discovery?
Yes, you that's anywhere. Any property that's inherited is not marital, it's
Correct.
separate. But you do have to list any inheritances
Mhm.
during discovery
Mhm.
so that they know that and are aware of them. And but it won't be distributed.
It will not be distributed, but in certain states, though, if there's an equitable division state, Illinois is equitable division, not equal.
We are
So,
as well.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we look at in terms of non-marital. It's like we create a marital balance sheet in a sense, and so we look at what you have as non-marital and what does the marriage have. So let's say you come to the marriage and things are $500,000 of whatever property, and the marriage only has $200,000.
Right.
That may mean you get less of the marital because you
You
already
already have
have
500,
self-sufficient
right.
to work. So in a sense, it's going to be listed. You will get it, but it may factor how much you get in terms of the marital assets.
Right.
Wow. So shout out to KN. KN says women work hard in every area. Generally, we make a lot of money. When we make a lot of money, we're still overgiving in relationships. So
I
let
agree.
me ask y'all this, because there's some people, in the chat that's a little upset with me about the money thing we
They
talking
still
about, right?
mad?
Just in general, because this I understand it, okay? Because women, of course, they want to be out and having levels of success, which a lot of us do. It makes sense, okay? But they might hear something like what I said. Well, hey, I wouldn't date a woman that makes more money than me.
Mhm.
And that might be a little discouraging for a woman who prioritizes career, or just a woman who,
Got
for
that
whatever
bag.
reason, have just
Yeah.
got the bag,
Mhm.
So what would you say to that woman? Because my thing is that's just me, right? But what do you think? I mean, should that be discouraging for a woman if just men are like, hey, I wouldn't want to date you if you make more money than me?
No, I
Mhm.
think it speaks to the kind of man that he is.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the kind of man you should want.
Right.
Right. I think that we have to be realistic as women. Wanting something right now doesn't mean it's maintainable or sustainable 10 years down the line.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think if you're willing, and this is just me speaking on my own preference, right? I can't talk about other people and their relationships and preferences, but I know myself, if I'm dating a man that is willing to watch me make more money than him comfortably, I'm going to be sick of his ass in the next 2 years, right? I'm going to be highly annoyed with him. So do I stay in this relationship temporarily to fulfill whatever desire I have right now? Maybe I'm lonely. Maybe I, need to scratch an itch. Maybe I need, do something with my time. Whereas, and put myself through, I guess, what you would call turmoil or wasting time finding the right partner, knowing that if this man would watch me make more money than him comfortably and happily, he's not the man for me. If I know that, then why would I want that?
I think just, it can be taken as an insult, or you can kind of be taken as a shot against all the things that some of these women might have worked hard to accumulate.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's an insult to women at all if a man just makes that decision. I think it's just, this is just how this man wants to operate, and this, it
And there's
doesn't.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think to what your point of what you said earlier, sometimes it comes with a lot of things that you just can't deal with. Again, if you can't make the rules, right? And
Right.
that's because that's what something that you need to have in your relationship, or you feel like your masculinity is tied to also your income and what that brings in, and so to speak. Then that may not be it for you. Sometimes we are also dealing with some relationships that are not always traditional. They're non-traditional. So sometimes it's like, if you're making, less than a woman, she's making more, but you're not expecting her to do all of the domestic things that, sometimes in traditional relationships have, then maybe there's a compromise there.
No, it's not.
Because,
Divorce is on the way.
wait a minute.
Why you
You
say
think
that?
so?
We talked about this already. Absolutely. That's
Well,
when we
But
started.
y'all
that's-
are very traditional men.
No, but the word, but generally, the house husband has still not been a very proven model yet.
At all, actually.
So there's
Right.
no evidence that model even has long-term sustainability
Yeah, I
at
don't believe it
scale.
does.
it's promoted.
Like-
I don't.
it-
Like the brother at home, not making no money, taking care of the kid,
don't
getting ready
know.
for school.
Yeah.
She out going to get the bag, out hustling,
Mhm.
coming back. He has the dinner ready for
Mhm.
her. I don't know if a lot of women will take that. They
I
won't
don't-
take that on.
I'm not speaking in terms of maybe my desires, but I'm just saying now we are in the era where there's not a lot of people that subscribe to traditional roles. You hear a lot of people, feminist movement, I'm not with
Right.
that, some of those things. And sometimes that's what that looks like. In another vein, too, when we talk about marriage being a business, we're entrepreneurs, right? So that comes with some lack of securities and benefits that maybe some jobs would have, right?
Right.
So if I'm looking at a business and I'm dating someone or potentially going to marry someone who has a job that's making good income that comes with benefits, I'm looking at, okay, now I can get underneath some of your benefits as well in
Mhm.
terms of business. So it's not just always numbers wise, because you probably know taxes look a little different
Baby.
on
Right.
this end too. And we might need to attach ourselves to somebody with a W-2,
Immediately.
for some of those.
Call me.
Yeah, listen, I'm in agreement with you. I just want to make sure that the ladies understand that, like, just because a
Mhm.
man is not interested in that particular situation,
not a
that
shot
yeah,
at
it's
you.
not a shot at
At all,
yeah.
at all. Still keep doing what you do, girl.
Absolutely.
And you have to make a lot of
Yeah.
money, if you really, to be out my range, you gotta make a lot of money. Because even when if I
It's
think,
fine. Flexing.
Come
It sound like
on.
he's
no,
flexing.
I'm
It
not
is.
flexing. No. I'm just saying,
Talk your talk, though.
even mentally,
Mhm.
like it has to be a really high number for me to even think that
What's
I
high,
wouldn't
Ryan?
even. It would have to be multi-millions. Like you have to
Okay.
be rich as shit. Like right now.
Okay.
Like you have to be rich right
Okay.
now, rich, for me to even think that that's not a place that I'm gonna be able to get to,
Okay. Right.
or a place I'm not be able to get to in a certain
Mhm.
amount of time before it kind of runs out.
Mhm.
So, the money thing is just a very sensitive topic. So
Very sensitive
see.
topic.
People need
Yeah.
to become more comfortable talking about money.
I
That's a
do.
big problem in
Yeah.
I agree.
relationships.
Mhm.
I
agree.
will ask, how much money do you make?
What is your credit
when do
score?
you ask that, Brittany?
In the dating phase?
When you say dating phase, it's like first day, second day, third day.
Probably like once I decide I like you, which I normally know if I'm gonna like you by third date.
So you asking how much money he makes on the third date?
Yeah. I'm 33.
it's
kinda wild,
Wait,
right?
is
I'm
that
33.
well? And I do understand that age could, maybe some
Yeah.
things you just
What
don't
are we
want to try
doing?
to figure out. Okay,
What are we talking about?
and is that
And it
the,
also goes to why you're dating too. 'Cause if
Right.
You're not
And what are
dating
your
with
intentions?
purpose.
But
then-
that is covered on date
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right.
True,
So
true. Facts.
Are
is that the specific question? How much money do you make?
so what's your salary?
Wow,
Do you
I'm
not like the
sorry.
way you don't like that? You don't like that question?
wow.
No, that's pretty forward.
It
I'm
was so-
gonna ask
Third
it.
third date is pretty forward.
Why? How?
Yeah.
How so?
He doesn't know you.
He doesn't know me on the first and second either. He's answered all of those questions. So what's the problem?
Yeah, I mean it's an onion.
Hold on.
right?
Would he screw
Oh,
me
so
on the
that's
third
vulnerable.
date?
Onion.
Would he screw me on the third date?
Mm.
He would absolutely screw. He screw you on the first date.
I know he would. So why can't I ask how much money do you make?
Well, again,
There's nothing more intimate than sex.
Now, yes, not in our culture. Our culture has completely ripped all of the intimacy away from sex.
Oh, well, that's
Mm.
unfortunate. For
So
y'all.
that
Sex
is-
is still very intimate to me.
Well,
That's
look,
good.
shout out to you.
Quality
all right?
women.
Well, but at the end of the day,
I've been getting
you.
buzzed. I've been getting buzzed all this
Right,
We-
bing, bing, we got one.
most men are gonna value their financial privacy
Uh-huh.
over slanging that wood. So, like, as far as what's gonna be something more discreet that they're not gonna feel comfortable giving you, is definitely gonna be their exact salary numbers. And it's just there's a more appropriate way to figure that out. And you're a smart girl, Brittany. You should know that.
I'm also forward,
Yes.
I know you
and
are.
they like it.
But we also are
You
living.
might think they like
do.
it.
No, baby, they like it.
Oh my God.
They do. They like it.
They like it.
They like it a lot.
Well,
Shout out to
bring one of them
Monica.
brothers up here. I want to talk to one of these brothers.
Y'all been trying to figure that out for a
I
long time.
know.
You better keep guessing, honey.
Shout out to Monica Stanley says it's almost like women have to choose between a high-paying career or a man.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Given
Yeah.
the lack of loyalty these days, I think I would choose the career.
I
Come on,
I get it,
Damn.
Monica. I get it,
Come on.
Monica.
Come on.
I get it, Monica.
It's,
shit kinda
y'all feel the
crazy.
same way.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also kind of like you're saying, only go and stop here and then find your man, right? Don't go any further if you want a man
Because it's gonna hurt a man's ego.
It's gonna. Oh, come on.
Is it an ego thing?
Is it?
Yes.
Because
Why can't you date a woman that
date a
makes
woman?
more money
Right.
than you?
And then she says you can make the rules.
I want to make the rules. That's rooted
And
in ego.
she says you can make the rules.
Now listen.
And she put a zaddy on it too.
And see, that's the problem.
Slayer.
She letting me make the rules instead of me
Ah.
making the rules. That's the problem. It is an ego thing.
Ego.
It is
Ego.
No. It's really not an ego thing. And so I don't even want to turn into that conversation, but it's definitely a lot more than that, though, for sure.
Okay.
I think it's just, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan, it's like the whole relationship dynamics.
Yeah, it's everything that goes
kind of
into it.
spin when you kind of move into that place. You know, I think later on in a woman's life, she's very different. I think an older woman making a lot of money is a lot different from a younger woman making a lot of money.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think like a lot of the older women in particular, like they've done trips, they've done this, they've done that, they've had a big house, they've had a nice car. All of that is old now. And now how they value a relationship,
It's different.
they don't give a damn about that. In
Mhm.
particular, when I'm talking about the man who's that dude and he got a good relationship,
Mhm.
is that kind of situation.
Oh,
Now-
she's an older
It's
woman.
older woman.
Yes, she's
See,
an older
you
woman.
didn't say that. That
She's an older
changes
woman.
things.
It does change things a bit. But just in general, a young lady, you know, she's really getting to it, you know, early 30s, late 20s. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
That ain't sexy. You not having this bag together? Nah.
I mean, she's out, she's exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, she sees other guys. It's kind of where you at, but they got the bag that she's looking
Is
at. I
it
mean,
because you
even
can't teach her anything at that point? You don't feel like you
No,
can show
no,
well,
her?
no, no. I
think
mean,
you
it's more
definitely
things to
Okay.
teach a woman or just a person outside of what to do in her
Okay.
in their career.
Okay.
So no, it's not that. It's just it's so many things. It's the mindset. You know what I mean? It's how she's spending probably likely the majority of her time.
Okay.
You know, is comes to decision making. I mean, this is the thing. You just can't tell me that if a woman has found success on her own, okay, a certain amount of success,
Mhm.
that when it comes to decision making, she's just going to be willy-nilly ready to give it up to you. It's going to come with probably some internal issues and challenges on her end in terms of developing that level of trust and things like that. I just think on average, if the woman does make, less, whatever reason, or it's
Mhm.
even, she'll probably be a little bit more open to that having that trusting relationship with you.
Yeah, but I don't think it's always an absolutely no that she won't trust you. I think you're gonna have to build, because with trust comes I respect you. I respect how you move. I respect your decisions. And I see the fruit of it. So if I'm not seeing the fruit of the things that you're saying and doing, yeah, I probably won't put my trust there. But if the things that you're saying and doing and it's backed with action and you can still build the trust of a relationship, even with income disparity.
But I mean, it's a certain thing. I mean, we all have our threshold. So
Mhm.
to you, what I think and what I'm doing may not be big enough.
But okay. So if we go with Tashawn's in terms of third date, don't ask me about my money, right?
Right.
Y'all have gone on several dates. Then no discussion of money. You've built a rapport. You liking her. You doing all that. And then you find out on date 20 what she makes, which is more than you. Now you're saying, "Oh no, I can't do this."
No, like I said, it would really have to be a lot. I mean, it would just have to be a lot. I mean, the thing
But it should be
is,
possible though. So what would you do in that circumstance if it was that number? And you've done 20 dates and now you're like, ugh,
20 dates and I'm dating a woman that's a millionaire.
And it's a big secret, this whole 20 days.
And it's,
Correct.
yeah, I just can't even imagine
because you
that,
didn't ask on date 3, like I said. Go ahead.
I mean,
So you didn't peep the G-Wagon.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would know if a woman
She
is
lives
rich.
a modest
It's-
She can live a modest lifestyle.
She lives a modern lifestyle.
My aunt is rolling in it. I shouldn't say that. She's gonna be mad, but she lives extremely modestly. You would never know.
Well, you know, I would be open to it. I would be open to it if that was the case. I just think that's
Because
just
she can only
highly
took
unlikely.
you to one of her 10 houses, and the one house was modest.
Now, see, and y'all are creating, I get right now the exception. at
That's
this
what I'm
point.
saying. That's the exception.
She's like, first of all, if a woman's getting a bag at this point, it's we in
It's
Instagram
loud. You think it's
culture.
loud?
It's mostly loud. Like,
But isn't
It's
that
like-
a fine? I saw on the internet somewhere somebody said that a woman that's loud is a sign of financial.
Their liability or something
yeah,
like
something
that. Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. The
I saw
more
that.
a woman has on designer, the more flashy
Yeah.
she is. That's a
I
red
don't
flag
even
for
mean, I
a
don't even mean
man.
by that. I don't even mean
financially.
necessarily, you know, she's
Yeah.
wearing Prada and Gucci all over the place,
Uh-huh.
but I can just generally look at your Instagram and get your Instagram's like a resume in 2024.
Mhm.
So I can just generally get a taste of what kind of success that your level that she's at that point in time, especially if she's at that level, because usually you're not off the grid if you're having that level of success in today's time.
But
That's
look,
very
some of the
again,
wealthiest people that I know don't even have Instagram.
But see, this
Again,
thing, it's not
the
even
exception.
about so much as wealth, because I don't think the average person that's what they're dealing with. I make 100,000. I'm dating a millionaire woman. I don't think that. I think the average is probably like somebody, you know, woman who's making 200, 150,000, 250,000, and the dude is making 50, 60, 70,000. I think that's probably,
I would agree.
you know, and for me, you making 300,000, like good, okay, great. Like there's no sweat. So that's what I'm saying. I don't even think it would even be that really possible for me to get into that situation just from my mindset. But I think if I only saw myself, if I'm working corporate or some kind of stringent, you know, trudginous situation where the likelihood of me going from 50 to 150 is very unlikely, then yeah, I wouldn't date a woman that is making considerably more than that, because it's just not likely with how I'm doing things that I would get to that. But if I'm, you know, entrepreneur, you know, you got these things going on, you building audiences, these types of things. Well, the likelihood that you can go from having $0 in your bank account to millions is very likely. You know what I mean? If you do it the right way. So it's like, it's just not the same to me.
But I also want to add, women, in terms of why we may want the number, we also want someone that's fiscally responsible, because I have had clients who have the bag, but it's gone the next month because they're not
They
fiscally, they live above their means and all
Correct.
that. So if you could be making, I guess, a modest salary and living modestly and probably doing better than someone who is making a lot more money with a lot more expenses.
That's a good point.
So I mean, we have to look at that too.
absolutely.
Good point.
First of all, shout out to y'all ladies coming up on here and dropping game with us here tonight
Yeah, happy to be
with the
here.
Harley Initiated family.
And we got a few more super chats. You want me to close them out real quick?
Yeah, man. Close these super chats out. Y'all better get this last group of super chats in as we get these ladies back home on this Sunday night. So y'all go ahead and
They
get those
gotta
in.
get ready for work tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Mary. She says, I got my cards this week. It's thick as a triple stack deck. However, I will be dividing them up into dating deck and husband material deck. Not going into the sexual quest unless we're ready for wifey. Shout out to the abstinent ladies too.
Mary.
Shout out
Big
to Mary.
shout out to Mary.
Yeah, the card deck is literally got everything you need.
It's
It's
very
impossible
thick.
to run through them
It's a
all.
very
Okay.
thick deck, y'all. It's 100 questions in here. So you ain't even about to make it through all these joints.
Shout out to Rock News says, is there a contractual way to enter a long-term / permanent relationship where all the requirements are delineated? Did I pronounce that correct?
Yeah, are they saying like a prenuptial agreement?
What is he asking?
Yeah, or like I think maybe they're going back to the question where we were talking about it's not really that much security in terms of being with someone, having children and not getting married. But can
Yeah.
you have that contract of whatever the roles or in the sense?
I'm confused. I'll
I
let
don't-
her answer.
I don't so I mean you can have a contract for anything, but there has to be consideration. And I
Right.
don't know what the consideration would be unless you're
For
saying
the
the relationship, which really is not consideration. But a lot of times it's just about how you move and knowing the laws. So if you're talking about living with someone and it's your house or whatever, you need to protect yourself. Putting someone's name on a house when you're not married looks very different. It's, you know, in terms of trying to even sever that, and depending on if it's joint tenancy or tenancy in common, or, you know, so it gets very risky doing that. I think kind of just having things separately by living together and, you know, or doing those things could be a better situation. But I guess I really need a little bit more for that question, because there was a
give some context in it. Get some context in the chat.
In the meantime, shout out to Dre. Dre says, how much of the splitting of assets wouldn't be a factor if they didn't get a marriage license?
How much of the splitting of assets wouldn't be a factor if they didn't get a marriage license?
So meaning they're not married, so you don't have any marital assets.
So okay, so let me give some context to this, because I'm familiar with Dre, and he's already given us his controversial views.
Okay.
He's been divorced once.
Okay.
Does not want to be married again.
Dating seriously.
With a marriage contract. He wants, I'm sorry.
What?
So he doesn't want to get a marriage license. He wants to get a contract, not a license with the state. So he wants a unlicensed marriage.
Well, didn't he have this question the last time I was up here, and I had the exact same answer?
Yes.
So go ahead, Sahar, because I ain't about to play with Dre today.
He wants I'm confused.
He does not want the state to be involved.
Let that man know he's not married without a marriage license and the state being involved.
Not even with a contract. That's
you're not married.
Wow.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, I don't, and I guess So I guess the piece of it is I'm wondering, what are you looking to benefit? What are the benefits that you want from the marriage? Do you want to be able to, if something happened to you and, you know, an untimely death, be able to just have things go to this person? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah,
the
so
benefits?
from the conversation I spoke personally, he wants to make sure that she can, you know, get a payout in the case of death. He wants to make sure that in divorce, you know,
there's no divorce.
There's a level of allocation or breakup, and a level of a breakup of the or end of the partnership, right? Because it's more of like a partnership agreement is what he wants to have with his wife versus a marriage license.
That's not his wife.
Yeah, he's not married. It's not your wife. But if you want to allow her to have an inheritance, put her in your trust, put her in your will.
Go ahead
put
and
her
do your estate
the beneficiary for your life insurance policy. Do that.
Okay,
and
then
they ain't rocking with your non-license, bro.
Now this is the last one. This is not even a super chat. I just pulled this one out of the chat. Shout out to Miss Devon. Says, I hope Ryan doesn't think that just because he makes more money, that automatically makes him a true leader of a household.
Let him know, Miss Devon.
So Miss Devon, listen, I 100% agree with you. It does not make me the true leader or the leader of a household, but not making the most money definitely doesn't make me the leader of the household. That's my mindset about it.
Okay.
That's it.
You standing on it.
I got to because it's just two things. I don't want men to feel pressed that they should get into themselves into situations that they will that won't benefit them in the wrong, like it will change on them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's men that's out there like, oh, okay, you know, I love this woman and all these different things, and she makes 5 times more money than me, and it's gonna be all good, but it's not gonna be all good. And then on the opposite end, I don't want women to think that just because they make money, they are less valuable. You know what I mean? Or that they should be shunned because they make more money. I still want you, if that's what you want to do, go out and do that. But I do think that it's really bullshit that that is promoted, this house husband thing, this your money can make. I just don't think that works at all. And I think a lot of people are talking about something that absolutely doesn't work.
I agree.
Oh yeah, trust me. You're the house husband, brother.
What?
Sorry about it.
It's a mattress somewhere inside your wife.
It's a what?
A mattress.
A mattress.
Yeah.
That's the men version of a mistress.
That's
but
I
mean, we, you know,
why would you say that?
It's true.
And
that's why I say this, because we could be, don't get me wrong.
I asked the question in the chat, by the way.
Okay.
Every woman horrendously said absolutely not. They wouldn't sign up for that. Because just the way women are
sign up for what?
They would sign up for a house husband.
They would not.
They wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
They absolutely like it was like overwhelmingly. And ladies, right now, if you're the one lady that you want you a nice house husband, say I want a house husband in the chat right now. All right. put it in the chat and you represent for your house husband.
Be bold.
Because the reality of it is just the way we keep saying we're modern and a lot of us are not traditional, but what typically gets my ladies moist is most traditional aspects, and you know,
Amen.
Right.
and
Mhm.
the traditional elements of a man is what gets women what get women turned on, not all this new shit.
Mhm.
So we can say we're moving away from it, but
We're
let's be
not.
real with
Facts.
ourselves.
Right.
Let's just be very real.
Okay.
I mean,
We have
and-
not gotten that far away from it.
And if you're making a considerable amount of more money than your man, I mean, essentially you are turning him into the house husband because he's proven that he's not able to command and do this, have the same level of performance that you have in the workplace. So it's like if she's making 300, you making 50. It's like, why are you working? You should be damn doing something at the house, and then that ain't gonna work out. So that's my thing.
Why are
is-
you working?
I mean, if you
That
married
little
to
check
one-
ain't doing nothing.
It's
That
not.
little thing
It's
ain't
really
doing-
not though.
that little job.
You need to be. You know,
You know, we put little on everything. Get your little job. Get your little car.
It is a this. It's a this.
I'm not trying to diss you. Fellas, keep working hard. Keep working hard. Ladies,
Keep
do the
working
same.
hard.
Do the same.
Oh my gosh, the chat is hilarious right now. But look, thank y'all so much for coming up on here and spending this time here with us on this very special Sunday night and the last Sunday night, guys. As y'all know, we said at the top of the show, from now on, Monday and Wednesday nights, 2 days a week. That's all you're gonna get from Hardly Initiated, but less is more. We're about to bring the hardest, most thoughtful episodes that are absolutely value packed. So we're not taking it easy. Ironically, we taking this conversation over tomorrow because we actually bringing a breadwinner on the platform tomorrow. Yes.
Yes.
That conversation is going to be so enlightening. We've never had that conversation with somebody actually navigating it. And we're going to get down to it. That's tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Hey.
You got anything for the people, Ryan?
I just want y'all to don't act like y'all don't be sending us these emails and letting us know what's really going on. Cause I don't
Oh
want
my
to just be, I
God.
don't just be sharing these thoughts, pulling these thoughts out of my butt. I'm looking at y'all's emails and the things that y'all are upset about and having frustrations and challenges with. So don't get on here dogging me out in the chat because of what I'm saying. When you're gonna send an email later talking about y'all need to have an episode because I'm not happy with my beta man.
Hey, don't worry. Hey, look, hey, Ryan,
Look,
we got you. We got you
stood
running
on
here.
this
All
all night.
I'm
He said he
happy
was
about
Hey,
it.
see,
Mess
listen,
with it. I just be
when you
messing
stand on it, you find some love. Because
Spend on
shout out to
business.
Kit Kat. Kit Kat in here said, Ryan, I'll be your wife. You
Oh,
making
come on,
sex
Kit Kat.
to me,
And look at
honey.
the picture.
And look at the
Look
photo.
at the picture, Ryan.
Okay.
She's ready.
Yes. Kit Kat is
Come
ready.
on, Ryan.
Give me a break.
Break me out the teeth.
Hey.
What you gonna do, Ryan?
You gotta change that profile picture.
You gotta change up real
Hey,
quick.
That's just for
Kit
me,
Kat,
Kit
Kit
Kat.
Kat.
That's just for me.
Hey, that ain't really looking like wifey on that damn book. Hey, look, listen.
That got me
Thank you
wrong.
guys so much for tuning into another episode of Hardly Initiated. We are out.